Chapter 1899. I'm sorry, but the grudge between us has to be settled today. Without the Heaven's Secret Stone, and without news of the Dark Emperor and the rest, how could Ningyu let the Black Figure leave? No matter what, Ningyu had to capture the Black Phantom today. Moreover, he had to capture it alive. I am from the Heaven's Secret Sect. How dare you stop me? The Black Figure's eyes were bloodshot as he said coldly, all those who go against the Heaven's Secret Sect must die. Noisy. Ningyu couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with the Black Figure. He needed to understand the situation of the Dark Emperor and the rest as soon as possible. Therefore, he wielded the Red Devil Sword and instantly burst forth with shocking speed. Before the Black Figure could react, he had already arrived beside him. Gotcha! Sheathing, the sword fell. This time, Ningyu chopped off the other arm of the Black Figure. 2 swords, 2 arms. The Black Figure's strength was greatly reduced. You forced me to do this. The Black Figure was extremely furious. He decided to use the Heaven's Secret Stone to kill Ningyu at all costs. If he didn't kill Ningyu today, he wouldn't be able to vent his hatred. Trying to play tricks in front of me? Sorry, you're still too young. Ningyu was already on guard against the Black Figure. The Heaven's Secret Stone must have some secret inside since the Black Figure placed so much importance on it. Ningyu couldn't let the Black Figure use such a treasure no matter what. Divine Sword Wave. Sky Splitting. Creation Fist. Almost in an instant, Ningyu displayed 3 Sage-tier martial skills. Without the Red Devil Sword in the past, Ningyu couldn't unleash his peak strength when executing these 3 Sage martial techniques. Now that he had the Red Devil Sword, the power of these 3 techniques had reached the peak. Just by using these 3 techniques, Ningyu could easily deal with a half-step human immortal, which was equivalent to a sage in the Great Perfection stage. The Black Figure in front of him was only a half-step human immortal without the Heaven's Secret Stone. Ningyu could easily kill such a person. Ding, ding, ding. However, the Black Shadow naturally would not stand still and let Ningyu kill it. Divine Sword Wave and Sky Splitting were both blocked by the Black Figure using the Heaven Fate Stone. As for the Fist of Creation, it landed on the Black Shadow's chest. The intense pain that came from his chest caused the shadow of the Black Shadow to dissipate, revealing his true appearance. She was about 20 years old, with fair skin and clean face, and her beautiful hair fluttering in the wind. I will tear you apart. The Black Shadow, no, he should be called the White-Faced Martial Artist. The White-Faced Martial Artist opened his mouth and angrily said, You're finished. No one in this world can save you. I'm going to kill you, skin you alive, and refine you into a puppet. As he spoke, the White-Faced Martial Artist directly swallowed the Heaven Fate Stone. Buzz. As the Heavenly Fate Stone entered his mouth, the white-masked cultivator's aura soared at a terrifying rate. Half-step human immortal. Peak of half-step human immortal. Human immortal. Mid-human immortal stage. In a short period of time, the white-faced martial artist's aura had reached the terrifying middle stage of human immortal. Ningyu was shocked. This was the immortal spirit region, and there were plane barriers here. Initially, he thought that even if the white-faced martial artist used the Heaven Fate Stone, his strength would only increase by a little. Who would have thought that the white-faced martial artist's strength would increase by more than 10 times? Crack! At the same time, in a secret chamber in Four Corner City, an old man suddenly smashed the jade cup in his hand. Who is it? How dare you force my disciple to use the Heaven Fate Stone? The old man's face was extremely gloomy, and the surrounding air seemed to have frozen. Could it be Ningyu? Soon, the old man seemed to have thought of something and frowned. No, Ningyu only has the cultivation of a peak sage. No matter how strong he is, he can't force my disciple to use the Heaven Fate Stone. Forget it, I'll ask him when he comes back. After thinking for a moment, the old man instantly retracted his aura, sat down cross-legged, and closed his eyes. The white-faced martial artist was unaware of the old man's actions. However, the white-faced martial artist knew that his master would definitely know that he had used the Heaven Fate Stone. 10 seconds. The white-faced martial artist did not waste even a second. After his aura increased to the intermediate stage of a human immortal, he immediately attacked Ningyu. Although the Heaven Fate Stone could increase his strength, there was a time limit. After all, this was the immortal spirit realm, and there was a plane barrier. In other words, even the Heaven Fate Stone could not hide from the plane barrier for too long. Once the plane barrier sensed his intermediate stage human immortal cultivation, it would definitely suppress him, or even send him to a higher plane. 10 seconds is enough to kill you. The white-faced martial artist twisted his neck, turned his body into a fist, and suddenly punched. Human immortal fist. Just now, the white-faced martial artist was only a sage in the Great Perfection realm. Although his human immortal fist was strong, it could not pose a threat to Ningyu. Now that his cultivation had increased to the intermediate stage human immortal, the power of the human immortal fist would increase by more than a few times. Enter the Red Fiend's sword. Ningyu's expression turned extremely serious, and he said to the Red Fiend, "I'm going to attack with all my strength." Although the 3 sage-ranked martial techniques that Ningyu executed earlier were very powerful, they were still far from enough to deal with the pale-faced cultivator with just 3 sage-ranked martial techniques. Luckily, the 3 sage martial skills were not Ningyu's trump card. After the Red Fiend's sword was upgraded to a sage flying sword, Ningyu's trump card had become the Red Fiend's sword. To be more precise, it was the Red Fiend's sword and the Red Fiend's sword fused together. Ningyu's elemental chi surged, and all of it was injected into the Red Fiend's sword. Then, he leaped into the air and slashed down fiercely. Ah! Even if you are a real human immortal, killing you is like slaughtering a dog. The white-faced martial artist raised his head and laughed maniacally. He admitted that the flying sword in Ningyu's hand was very strong, but that was all. After all, the power of the human immortal fist that he had displayed was extremely strong. Not to mention that Ningyu's cultivation was only at the peak of the sage stage. Even if Ningyu's cultivation was raised to human immortal, the white-faced martial artist would still be fearless. It's too early for you to be happy. The corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up, and he swung the Red Fiend's sword in his hand. Swoosh! The Red Fiend's sword drew a beautiful arc in the air, and then it collided head-on with the human immortal fist that the white-faced martial artist had displayed. Kaboom! When the two collided, an extremely terrifying sound was suddenly heard. Oh no, human immortal! When the Red Fiend's sword and the human immortal fist collided, the white-faced martial artist realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly turned his body into a fist, and wanted to use the human immortal fist again. However, it was obviously too late for the white-faced martial artist to use the human immortal fist again. Ningyu appeared in front of him and punched his head. Boom! Ningyu's punch was so powerful that it directly exploded the white-faced martial artist's head. Countless blood mists flew everywhere, and the white-faced martial artist's body was directly destroyed. Swoosh! Although his body was destroyed, the white-faced martial artist still did not die. His primordial spirit immediately used a secret skill and flew far away. Moreover, as he flew away, he did not forget to leave behind a vicious sentence. Chapter 1900. Pay me back double? The corners of Ningyu's mouth curled up, and he immediately said coldly, "I'm sorry, but you may not have the chance." As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu stomped his feet on the ground, and his body instantly dashed out. The white-faced martial artist was from the Heavenly Secrets sect, and he came from Four Corner City. How could Ningyu let him go? Even if he could not extract his memories, he had to kill him. Otherwise, when he returned to Four Corner City successfully, the Dark Emperor, Lu Wei, and the others would be in danger. Chi. the white-faced martial artist was only left with his primordial spirit. Even if he flew with all his might, his speed could not compare to Ningyu's. It only took 3 minutes for Ningyu to catch up with the white-faced martial artist, blocking his path of retreat. I am from the Heavenly Secrets sect. If you dare to kill me, your friend will definitely be killed by my master. Seeing that there was no way out, the white-faced martial artist forced himself to calm down and said coldly, "Why don't we make a deal? You let me go, and when I return to Four Corner City, I will definitely beg my master to let your friend go." "Why do you have so much to say?" Ningyu could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the white-faced martial artist. If he was afraid of the Heavenly Secrets sect, or if he was a naive person, he might be fooled by the white-faced martial artist. However, he had lived 2 lives, and the Heavenly Secrets sect was a high-level sect. No matter how powerful it was, it had little to do with him now. Therefore, no matter how glib the white-faced martial artist was, it was impossible for him to convince Ningyu. At most, we'll fight to the death. Seeing that Ningyu was not moved at all, and instead, he waved the red demon sword in his hand, and quickly attacked him, the white-faced martial artist immediately shouted. At the same time, in the process of shouting, the white-faced martial artist's body made a sizzling sound. From the looks of it, he wanted to detonate his primordial spirit and perish together with Ningyu. If you wanted to detonate your soul to take me down with you right from the start, perhaps I would have some reservations. But now I'm sorry, it's too late. The red demon sword in Ningyu's hand suddenly shot out, slashing at the white-faced martial artist's primordial soul at an extremely terrifying speed. Previously, the red demon sword could only devour soul power or yuan qi. However, after advancing to a sage-level flying sword, the red demon sword already possessed the ability to devour essence spirits. Although the white-faced martial artist's essence soul was powerful, the Red Fiend was in the Red Fiend sword. With the Red Fiend controlling the Red Fiend sword, its ability to devour essence souls had almost reached its peak. In an instant, the red demon sword arrived in front of the pale-faced martial artist and pierced through his primordial spirit. When the red demon sword pierced through the pale-faced warrior's primordial spirit, a strong suction force suddenly sucked the pale-faced warrior's primordial spirit into his body. Wild geese leave their voices behind, and people leave their names behind. Unfortunately, the white-faced cultivator did not even leave any face before he was forcefully devoured. Xiao. After devouring the pale-faced warrior's primordial spirit, the Red Fiend's figure flashed and he emerged from the red demon sword, landing beside Ningyu. In the Red Fiend's hand was a palm-sized stone. The Heaven's Secret Stone. With the pale-faced martial artist's physical body destroyed and his primordial spirit devoured, the Heaven's Secret Stone naturally fell into the Red Fiend's hands. Ningyu, from the pale-faced martial artist's memories, I found out that this Heaven's Secret Stone can be used twice, and each time, it will increase your strength greatly. The Red Fiend handed the Heaven's Secret Stone to Ningyu and explained, in other words, you are now at the peak of a sage. Once you use the Heaven's Secret Stone, you will be able to instantly unleash early-stage human immortal battle strength. After receiving the Heaven's Secret Stone from the Red Fiend, Ningyu looked around and revealed a puzzled expression. Not long ago, the pale-faced martial artist had used the Heaven's Secret Stone to forcefully raise his cultivation to mid-stage human immortal. Ningyu had witnessed it all. It could be said that without the Heaven's Secret Stone, the 2 pale-faced martial artists wouldn't be a match for Ningyu. How are the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei? Ningyu kept the Heaven's Secret Stone and asked. Since the Red Fiend devoured the pale-faced martial artist's primordial spirit, it meant that he had also devoured the pale-faced martial artist's memories. The pale-faced martial artist was from the Heaven's Secret sect and came from Four Corner City. He must be very clear about what was going on in Four Corner City. The Dark Emperor and Lu Wei are fine. At the mention of the Dark Emperor and the rest, the Red Fiend's expression turned solemn and he said, But the rest, at this point, the Red Fiend didn't continue. However, although the Red Fiend didn't say it, his meaning was self-evident. Crack crack. Ning Yu's expression turned cold and he clenched his fists so tightly that they made cracking sounds. Apart from the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei, there was also a group of core members of Supreme Palace in Four Corner City. Now that they were all dead, how could Ning Yu not be angry? But anger was anger. Ning Yu still did not lose his reason. The pale-faced martial artist possessing the Heaven's Secret Stone meant that his master had it too. The pale-faced martial artist's strength was already horrifying enough. It could be imagined how powerful his master's strength was. Oh, right, are Human Devil and the rest in Four Corner City? Ning Yu seemed to have thought of something and continued to ask. His main purpose of returning to Alchemy Imperial City this time was to find Human Devil and Ning Lu they all. Right now, they were not in Alchemy Imperial City. Ning Yu was naturally very worried about their safety, fearful that they would rush to Four Corner City foolishly. Not now. But in a few hours they might be in your Four Corner City. The Red Fiend shook his head and said, "There's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately." Ning Yu originally wanted to stay here and recuperate for a period of time. But he was worried about the safety of Human Devil and Ning Lu and the rest, so he decided to set off immediately. Ning Yu was very clear that the distance between Four Corner City and Alchemy Imperial City was very far. Back when he came from Four Corner City, even if he took the teleportation array, it still took a long time. "I know a place with a teleportation array." The pale-faced martial artist came from that teleportation array. The Red Fiend also did not want Dark Emperor and the rest to be persecuted. He took Ning Yu and skimmed towards the east of Alchemy Imperial City. The reason why the pale-faced martial artist could reach Alchemy Imperial City from Four Corner City in a short time was that he knew a hidden teleportation array. That was also because the pale-faced martial artist came from Heaven's Secret Sect and knew a deep level of Heaven's secret arts. Otherwise, it was impossible to find that hidden teleportation array. Just as Ning Yu and the Red Fiend went to find the teleportation array, in the void not particularly far from Four Corner City, a group of people was moving forward in a mighty manner. If Ning Yu was here, he would definitely discover that these people were very familiar to him. In the lead was Human Devil and Ning Lu. Behind them, Wu Patian, War God Crane, Yi Jiansong, Meng Chang'an, Zhao Heng, and the rest were all following at full speed. Almost everyone that Ning Yu knew followed along this time. At this moment, this group of people's anger was a little suppressed. Everyone was very clear that this trip did not bode well. There were experts from Heaven's Secret Sect in Four Corner City, and Heaven's Secret Sect was a sect that even Human Devil was wary of, let alone these immortal spirit realm natives. In fact, Wu Patian from the Martial region and War God Crane from the War God region were vaguely regretting at this moment. They regretted placing their bets on the human demon. However, there was no free lunch in this world. Even if they were a little regretful, they did not dare to show the slightest bit of expression at this time. They could only bite the bullet and go forward. Chapter 1901. Everyone, hold on a little longer. We'll reach Four Corner City in another 3 to 4 hours. Seeing that everyone was a little depressed, the human demon said, "When we reach Four Corner City, Ning Lu, Meng Chang'an, and I will find a way to sneak into the city. As for Wu Patian, Battle God Crane, Yi Jiansong, and the rest, they will stay outside the city and be ready to receive us." The human demon was worried that this was a trap. But even if he knew it was a trap, he had no other choice but to bite the bullet. After all, the cultivators trapped in Four Corner City were Ning Yu's closest friends. He didn't want to see his friends killed when Ning Yu returned. No problem. Wu Patian and Battle God Crane were a little regretful, but after hearing the human demon's arrangement, they were the first to agree. Everyone knew that sneaking into Four Corner City was dangerous, and they would be exposed if they weren't careful. There were people from the Heaven Secrets sect in Four Corner City, and if they were exposed, it meant that they would have to face the experts of the Heaven Secrets sect. They had already witnessed the strength of the Heaven Secrets sect once, and they didn't want to see it again. It was more flexible to stay outside. If the human demon and the rest were in danger, the people outside could rescue them or retreat. Wu Patian and Battle God Crane had already made up their minds. If the human demon and the rest were at a slight disadvantage, the two of them would rescue them. But if the human demon and the rest were at an absolute disadvantage, the two of them would bring Ziyun and the rest away as soon as possible. In their view, there was no need for unnecessary sacrifices. They had already done their best to save Ziyun, Old Man Tianji, and the rest. Whoosh! Time was always slipping away unknowingly. In the blink of an eye, 3.5 hours had passed. The human demon and the rest had successfully arrived at a place 30 miles west of Four Corner City. Whoosh! 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 According to the agreement, the human demon, Ning Lu, and Meng Chanan teleported and charged towards Four Corner City. Wu Patian, Battle God Crane, and the rest stayed where they were, quietly waiting. Whoosh! The human demon, Ning Lu, and Meng Chanan stopped when they were 2,000 meters away from Four Corner City. After slightly casting the disguise technique and temporarily sealing their cultivation at the true martial realm, the three of them then walked toward the Four Corner City. A distance of 2,000 meters was not particularly far. Not long after, human demon and the other two appeared at the gate of Four Corner City. Yes, the three of you, come here. Originally, human demon and the others were about to sneak into Four Corner City. However, just as they were about to step into the city, a creation realm warrior guarding the gate called out to them. Why did you come to Four Corner City? The Fate Realm cultivator crossed his arms over his chest and stared at the human demon and the others with interest. He asked, You all look unfamiliar. Why have you come to Four Corner City? Sir, we came to Four Corner City mainly to buy a few kinds of medicinal herbs. Human Devil had experienced this kind of interrogation after entering the city gate many times in the higher planes. He quickly said, The three of us are at the peak of the true martial realm. We want to buy some herbs, and then ask an alchemist to help us refine Dawn, while at the same time attack the Yuandan realm. Breaking through to the primal core stage? Just the three of you? The Fate Realm warrior pursed his lips and said disdainfully, I see that the veins in your bodies are blocked. Even if you have superior Dawn, it will be difficult for them to be of any use. Sir, what do you mean? Human Demon asked without batting an eyelid. Fortunately, you met me today, and I am in a good mood. Come with me. I will help you get rid of the hidden ailments in your bodies and help you break through to the Yuandan realm. The Fate Realm warrior waved his hand, looking as if they were very lucky. Human Demon and Ning Lu looked at each other, then nodded involuntarily. They were not very familiar with Four Corner City, so having a free guide would save them a lot of trouble. As for why the Fate Realm warrior wanted to help them, it was actually very simple. Human Demon slightly revealed the aura of pure energy. A man's wealth was his own ruin. If the Fate Realm warrior wanted the pure energy in their bodies, they would naturally, obediently fall for it. Something big might happen in Four Corner City soon. The three of you follow me. It's best if you don't run around or look around. The Fate Realm warrior led Human Demon and the rest around Four Corner City and finally stopped outside a hidden room. The Creation Realm martial artist took out a key from his bosom and inserted it into the keyhole on the front door. Gotcha! The key turned and a crisp sound rang out. The door slowly opened. Come in. You guys sit for a while, I will go make some preparations. After leading Human Demon and the rest into the room, the Fate Realm warrior entered the inner room. Zhao Chao, why did you bring a few true martial realm warriors this time? There was only a wooden bed in the inner room. An old man was lying on the wooden bed. He was about 60 or 70 years old, and upon closer inspection, both of his legs were broken. The Fate Realm warrior called Zhao Chao came before the old man and respectfully said, "Senior, don't think that these three are only at the true martial realm. They have a large amount of pure energy in their bodies." Pure energy? The old man's eyebrows raised, a little excited. He was originally an expert from a higher plane. When he descended from a higher plane, he was unfortunately ambushed by the enemy, causing him to lose most of his fighting strength. He could only hole up in Four Corner City. Fortunately, he met Zhao Chao, who was in Blessed Realm, and used flowery words to deceive him, making him serve him willingly. That's right, pure energy. A large amount of pure energy. Zhao Chao hurriedly said, "Senior, as long as you can devour that pure energy, you will definitely be able to return to your peak state." Zhao Chao's eyes were filled with excitement. According to the old man's promise, as long as the old man could return to his peak state, he would give him the blessing to advance from the Fate Realm to the Sky Supreme Realm. Zhao Chao's talent was mediocre. It was already a miracle that he could cultivate to the Fate Realm. Now that he had a chance to break through to the Sky Supreme Realm, he would definitely grab it and do whatever it took to restore the old man to his peak state. For this reason, he would bring a few people here every few days for the old man to devour. Seeing that there was a high chance that the old man could return to his peak state today, how could he not be excited? "Call the three of them in. You stand guard outside. Without my permission, don't let anyone in." The old man waved his hand, indicating for Zhao Chao to leave first. Zhao Chao didn't dare to tarry. He hurriedly left and went to the room where Human Demon and the rest were. After coming out, Zhao Chao said to Human Demon and the rest, "You guys are lucky today. Originally, I wanted to personally resolve the hidden injuries in my body, but my master saw that your talents are better, so he decided to help you guys." Chapter 1902. Hearing Zhao Chao's words, the Human Demon pretended to be excited. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much." "It's nothing, it's what I should do." Zhao Chao waved his hand. "Go in, don't let my master wait for too long." "Yes, yes." The Human Demon's face lit up as he immediately entered the room. Behind the Human Demon, Ning Lu and Meng Chang'an also entered the room without any hesitation. "Humph." Looking at their silhouettes, Zhao Chao coldly snorted in disdain. "What fools! What fools!" But as he snorted, Zhao Chao's heart started to dream. Right now, he was in the Fortune Realm, and as long as the pure energy from the Human Demon and the rest could allow him to recover to his pinnacle state, then the old man would imbue him with energy, allowing him to reach the heavenly sovereign realm. At the same time, in the room the old man looked at the Human Demon and the rest with interest. "You guys seem pretty calm. Why wouldn't I be?" The Human Demon shrugged. "At your peak you might pose a threat to us. As for the current you, killing you is as easy as slaughtering a dog. You're courting death." The old man's face turned cold as he roared and stretched his right hand out, grabbing at the Human Demon. The old man immediately used a killing move, not intending to leave anyone alive. Child's play. Facing the old man's terrifying move, the Human Demon wasn't bothered. When they followed Zhao Chao here, the Human Demon and the rest had already noticed the old man and knew that his mental state wasn't at his peak. At his peak, the old man's cultivation was at the half-step human immortal realm, and his strength wasn't any weaker than the Human Demon. But now that the old man's legs were broken, the energy in his body was in a mess, and he was only left with 20% of his peak strength. Under this situation, would the Human Demon be afraid of the old man? The answer was no. Boom. Seeing that the old man's fist was about to land on the Human Demon suddenly dodged to the side. Crack. Shortly after, the Human Demon raised his right leg and kicked at the old man's right hand. A crisp sound resounded. Arg! A miserable shriek resounded from the old man's mouth. You! How dare you cripple my right hand?" The old man covered his right wrist with his left hand, his face full of fear and anger. The old man was terrified because he had underestimated the human demon. With the human demon's current strength, he could easily defeat him. As for his anger, it was because the human demon had crippled his right hand. Answer a few of my questions honestly, or I'll make you pay. The human devil wouldn't waste time with this old man. His first task was to investigate Four Corner City and try his best to understand the situation of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. Because with every minute that passed, the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei's lives would be in greater danger. Ask away. The old man was not an obstinate person, so he expressed his willingness to cooperate with the human devil. How many people from the Heaven Secret sect are in Four Corner City? Human demon asked directly, "Do you have a grudge against the Heaven Secret sect?" Hearing this, the old man's heart jolted, and he hurriedly said, "There are a total of 3 people from the Heaven Secrets sect in Four Corner City. They are called Venerable Ku Yu, Venerable Han Ing, and Venerable Ku Yu's disciple, Bai Chong. A fake perfected being." His human demon couldn't help but gasp when he heard the old man's words. In the Heaven Secrets sect, real Earth immortals were called venerable beings. As for peak human immortals, they were called false venerable beings. In other words, Venerable Ku Yu and Venerable Han Ing were real Earth immortals in the higher realms. Even the weakest Bai Chong was a half-step Earth immortal. One should know that the higher realms were vast, and it was difficult for real Earth immortals to appear in some of the borderlands. Now that there were 3 Earth immortals in Four Corner City, Human Demon's face turned extremely solemn. Although Earth immortals could only unleash the strength of half-step human immortals due to the existence of the realm barrier, these Earth immortals would be able to unleash the combat strength of real Earth immortals in the near future when the realm barrier completely breaks. No, I must rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei before the realm barrier breaks. Human Demon knew very well that now was the best time to act. Any later, and unpredictable dangers might appear. Therefore, Human Demon made up his mind that once he finished interrogating the old man, he would go look for the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. Sucking in a deep breath, Human Demon forced himself to calm down and asked, "I heard that Taoist Master Ku Yu trapped a few people from Four Corner City, including a big black dog. Do you know where they are locked up?" "Dead," the old man said. "Dead?" This time, it wasn't just Human Demon who was shocked. Even Ning Lu and Meng Chang'an were shocked to the extreme. They had gone through so much trouble and even risked their lives to sneak into Four Corner City, only to be told that the Dark Emperor and the others were dead? "Tell me the truth." Ning Lu took a step forward and unleashed a terrifying aura that pressed down on the old man. Under the pressure of Ning Lu's aura, the old man spat out a mouthful of dark red blood on the spot. He braced himself and said, "They are indeed dead. A few days ago, Spiritual Master Ku Yu personally ordered those stubborn people to be killed. In the end, only 2 people, no, it should be said that only 1 person survived. The other one was a big black dog." "Tell me the details," Human Demon said coldly. The old man didn't dare to go against Human Demon's will. He could only tell everything he knew. He even told Human Demon about Venerable Ku Yu, Venerable Han Ing, and Bai Chang's weaknesses. Seeing that Human Demon didn't have any intention of killing him, the old man even started to fantasize. Venerable Ku Yu and the others might be strong, but Human Demon and the others weren't weak either. As long as both sides were injured, he would definitely be the one to benefit in the end. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You seem very happy?" Ning Lu took a step forward. Suddenly, a dark golden branch shot out of his body and stabbed into the old man's body from the top of his head. Never in his wildest dreams would the old man have imagined that he would still be killed in the end, even after revealing everything he knew. Moreover, the way he died was very special. Almost in an instant, the yuan qi in his body was sucked dry, and he turned into a meat patty. Devouring power. The old man had thought about how he would die, But no matter what, he didn't expect to die like this. Did he lie to us? Human Demon and Meng Chang'an took Ning Lu's actions for granted. After all, the old man wanted to devour them. Now that he was devoured, he couldn't blame others. He didn't lie, but he didn't tell us one thing. Not only did Ning Lu devour the old man's yuan qi, but he also devoured his memories. From the old man's memories, Ning Lu discovered something very terrifying. Chapter 1903. To put it simply, Four Corner City's geographical location was very special, extremely special. There was a huge sacrificial altar in the north, south, east and west of Four Corner City. Once all four altars were activated, Four Corner City would completely collapse. It was not a big deal for Four Corner City to collapse. At most, they could just leave. However, Four Corner City's special geographical location was revealed at this time. There was a huge teleportation array beneath Four Corner City. The purpose of Four Corner City's construction was to conceal the teleportation array and not let others know. The destination of the teleportation array was the 10,000 Demon Ridge. 10,000 Demon Ridge? Hearing Ning Lu's story, the human demon and Meng Chang'an's expressions became extremely solemn. They had heard some rumors when they were in Alchemy Emperor City. It was said that the source energy of the immortal spirit state was in the 10,000 Demon Ridge. At this time, most of the immortal spirit state experts were probably heading to the 10,000 Demon Ridge. However, how far was the 10,000 Demon Ridge from here? Even an early-stage sage martial artist would need a few days to fly at full speed. It could be said that if not for coming to Four Corner City to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei, the human demon and the rest would have followed them to the 10,000 Demon Ridge. There was a huge teleportation array beneath Four Corner City, and the destination was the 10,000 Demon Ridge. They might be able to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei first, then use the teleportation array beneath Four Corner City to head to the 10,000 Demon Ridge. Right? Does he know where the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei are trapped? Taking a deep breath, the human demon asked. The urgent matter at hand was not to discuss how to get to the 10,000 Demon Ridge, but how to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. The city lord residence of Four Corner City. Ning Lu explained, Perfected Withered Domain is inviting a few perfected masters to discuss how to activate the sacrificial altars around Four Corner City. We have to find a way to sneak into the city lord residence. The human demon and Meng Chang'an looked at each other and said at the same time. They knew very well that brute force was definitely not enough to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. The best time was when Perfected Withered Domain and the rest discussed how to activate the sacrificial altars. Because at that time, the attention of Perfected Withered Domain and the rest would definitely not be on the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. It was not easy to sneak into the city lord's mansion. After all, there would definitely be many perfected persons in the city lord's mansion at this time. Under their eyes, the slightest carelessness would be discovered. Zhao Chao. Almost at the same time, human demon and Meng Chang'an shifted their gazes outside the room. The fact that Zhao Chao was able to be the gatekeeper at the city gate meant that he had some ability. If he relied on him, he might be able to successfully sneak into the city lord's mansion. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, evening came. Xiao, Xiao, Xiao. In the sky above the city lord residence of Four Corner City, several whooshing sounds were heard. Soon after, several cultivators appeared in the sky and landed in the city lord's residence's discussion hall. At this time, there were two people sitting in the assembly hall. Perfected Withered Domain, Perfected Han Ing. Although experts would enter the hall from time to time, Perfected Ku Yu and Perfected Han Ing did not even blink. They were from the Heaven's Fortune sect and had the Heaven's Fortune stone in their hands, so they were naturally very confident. Moreover, they were Earth immortals in a high-level plane. Most of the martial artists who came were human immortals in a high-level plane. There was no need for them to welcome them. He didn't even know how to put on a show. Swoosh! At this moment, an afterimage swept across the sky and landed in front of the assembly hall in the blink of an eye. Swoosh! Swoosh! After the afterimage appeared, Perfected Ku Yu and Perfected Han Ing were finally moved and opened their eyes. Whoosh! Perfected Ku Yu and Perfected Han Ing were not the only ones. After seeing the original appearance of the afterimage, many of the martial artists present immediately stood up with solemn expressions. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that he knew this old man. This old man was none other than the old man who fought with him for the Qilin fruit. Vice Sect Master Mo Qinya of the High-Level Plane, the Transformation God Sect. I've long heard that Sect Master Mo is in the immortal spirit realm. I didn't believe it at first, but now that I see it, it's indeed true. Perfected Ku Yu's expression was solemn. He said in a deep voice, "May I know why Sect Master Mo is here?" In fact, it was no wonder that Perfected Ku Yu's expression was solemn. In a high-level plane, he was an Earth immortal, and so was Mo Qinya. Moreover, Mo Qinya's cultivation was a level higher than his. He was a mid-stage Earth immortal. The gap between an early-stage Earth immortal and a mid-stage Earth immortal was even greater than the gap between an Earth immortal and a human immortal. Although Perfected Ku Yu had the Divine Fortune Stone, Mo Qinya was the Vice Sect Master of the Transformation God Sect. There was no guarantee that he would also have a powerful trump card. Therefore, Perfected Ku Yu did not want to have a conflict with Mo Qinya if he could. I'm here for two things. Mo Qinya smiled. First, since you're discussing how to activate the altar and the teleportation formation to the Myriad Demon Ridge, I naturally have to go with you. As for the second, Mo Qinya paused for a moment and then said, I heard that you've captured a black dog and a woman. I want to take them with me. You want to take them with you? Perfected Ku Yu and Perfected Han Ing stood up abruptly and said in a deep voice, We went through a lot of trouble to capture them. You can't just take them with you. There's no room for negotiation. Mo Qinya threw his head back and laughed wildly. Then, he said gloomily, I think you've misunderstood. I'm not here to negotiate with you. I must take them with me. Last time, Mo Qinya was forced to display strength beyond the perfect saint realm and was killed by the plane barrier. Fortunately, he had given up his physical body and the Qilin fruit, which allowed him to survive. Recently, the plane barrier had loosened. He had found a way to contact the Transformation God Sect in a high-level plane and obtained some pills from them to heal his injuries. After healing his injuries, Mo Qinya's first thought was to find the human demon and Ningyu and get revenge. After investigating, he found that Perfected Ku Yu had captured Ningyu's friends. Therefore, he decided to go to Quadrant City and wait for them. At that time, as long as he controlled Ningyu's friends, Ningyu and the human devil wouldn't appear obediently. We're from the Divine Fortune Sect, Perfected Ku Yu said in a deep voice with a gloomy expression. In a high-level plane, as long as he revealed his identity as a member of the Heaven Secret Sect, many forces would give him face. I don't think you understand what I mean. Mo Qinya snorted coldly. Then, his figure flashed and rushed toward Perfected Ku Yu at an astonishing speed. Damn it! Perfected Ku Yu cursed as he looked at Mo Qinya who was rushing toward him. Then, he clenched his right fist and punched. Crack! In the next moment the two fists collided. An extremely crisp sound rang out, and an afterimage flew out in a straight line. Without a doubt, the figure that was sent flying was not Mo Qinya but Perfected Ku Yu. I'll say it one last time. Hand over that black dog and Lu Wei. Otherwise, no one in this world can save you. Chapter 1904. Everyone, let's go together. As long as we can capture Mo Qinya, I promise everyone here that I will help you calculate for free. Withered Domain shouted while doing his best to resist Emo Chienya's oppressive aura. In the higher planes, the reason why the Heaven's Secrets Gate had such a high status was because they knew the Heaven's Secrets art. They could seek benefits and avoid harm within a certain range. It could be said that one would have to pay a huge price to hire someone from the Heaven's Secrets sect. Now, as long as they could capture Emo Chienya, they could ask Taoist Master Kuyu to perform a divination. No matter how they looked at it, this wasn't a bad deal. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, all the cultivators in the conference hall moved and surrounded Emo Chienya. One person might not dare to take action against Mo Chienya, but with so many people working together, they immediately became bolder. Let me give you a word of advice. You'd better scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Emo Chienya wasn't worried about being surrounded. On the contrary, his aura became even more terrifying. Poochie, Poochie, Poochie. Under the pressure of Emo Chienya's terrifying aura, some of the cultivators who hadn't reached the half-step human immortal realm spurted out a mouthful of blood and were sent flying. Emo Chienya's move caused the surrounding martial artists to suck in a breath of cold air. His aura alone could seriously injure a martial artist at the peak of the Sage realm. His strength was infinitely close to that of a real human immortal. Emo Chienya, do you really want to become enemies with the Heaven's Secrets Gate? Seeing that the Withered Domain Enlightened Master was about to collapse, Han Ying took a step forward. She held onto the Tianji stone with her right hand and stood beside the Withered Domain Enlightened Master. Chi. When Emo Chienya's terrifying aura came into contact with the Heaven Fate Stone, a sizzling sound could be heard. For a moment, he couldn't do anything to the Heaven Fate Stone in Han Ying's hand. Rumor has it that every disciple of the Heaven's Fortune sect has a Heaven's Fortune Stone. In the past, I didn't believe it, but now it seems like I was ignorant. Emo Chienya instantly retracted his aura and stared at the Heavenly Fate Stone in Han Ying's hand with interest. He said, "I've changed my mind. I don't want that big black dog in Lu Wei. As long as you hand over the 2 Heavenly Fate Stones, I'll leave immediately." Arrogant! Courting death! Emo Chienya's words infuriated Tao Master Ku Yu and Han Ying. Relatively speaking, Emo Chienya's demand for the Dark King and Lu Wei wasn't enough to make them so angry. However, Emo Chienya's desire for the Heaven's Fate Stone made them extremely furious. The Heaven's Secrets Gate had a rule that anyone who lost the Heaven's Secrets Stone would be sentenced to death. In other words, losing the Tianji Stone was equivalent to losing their lives. "Does that mean you guys don't want to hand over the Heaven Fate Stone?" Emo Chienya shrugged and said, If you want the Tianji Stone, that will depend on whether you have the ability or not." Tao Master Ku Yu and Han Ying looked at each other and snorted at the same time. "Today, either you die or we die." Whoosh, whoosh. While speaking, Taoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying rushed toward Emo Chienya at a terrifying speed. In their eyes, Emo Chienya might be strong, but neither of them was weak. In the high-level planes, Emo Chienya's cultivation was a small level higher than theirs. However, in the immortal spirit realm, their cultivation was exactly the same. They were both half-step human immortals. Now, it wasn't a competition of cultivation, but the density of the immortal qi in their bodies and the strength of their treasures. Rumble! Taoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying joined forces to fight Emo Chienya. Their battle had reached the peak of the immortal spirit realm. At the very least, given the current loosening of the planar barrier, the 3 of them could unleash the maximum combat power allowed by the planar barrier. Any more and the planar barrier would expel them. What should we do? Watching Emo Chienya and Taoist Master Ku Yu's battle, one of the cultivators in the conference hall couldn't help but ask, "What else can we do? We only have 2 choices." Another cultivator plopped down on a chair and said, "The first choice is to join the battle." As soon as this martial artist finished speaking, everyone shook their heads in unison. Join the battle? What a joke! One had to know that Emo-Chinya's battle was already at its peak. With their current strength, it would be difficult for them to even get close to the edge of the battlefield, let alone join the battle. Sigh, then there's only the second choice. The cultivator who spoke just now sighed and stretched out a finger, saying, "Wait, wait." Everyone was puzzled. It's simple. If Taoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ing win, we'll all be happy and can successfully activate the teleportation array to Myriad Demon Ridge. But if Emo-Chinya wins, the cultivator didn't finish his sentence. Although he didn't say it, everyone knew very well. If Emo-Chinya won, they would die. After all, they were on Taoist Master Ku Yu's side. Emo-Chinya would never let them go. If I'm not wrong, one of the two parties fighting in the sky is Taoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ing. Outside the city lord's mansion, Ning Lu stared at the sky with a grave expression. Ning Lu had devoured the old man's memories, and in the old man's memories, there were the faces of perfected withered domain and perfected Han Ing. The other one is Emo-Chinya. Human Demon's expression was even graver than Ning Lu's. Ever since they parted at the Moling mountain range, Human Demon had thought that Emo-Chinya had been killed by the planar barrier. Who would have thought that he would meet Emo-Chinya here? You know him? Ning Lu was surprised. Yes, he's from a higher plane. He's not weak. Human Demon said solemnly. Let's kill our way in while they're fighting and rescue the Dark Sovereign and Lu Wei. Human Demon wasn't a fool. He really wanted to cause trouble in the sky and seriously injure Emo-Chinya and Taoist Master Ku Yu. But he knew that this was the best time to save the Dark Sovereign and Lu Wei. Without the protection of Taoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ing, all the cultivators in the city lord's mansion wouldn't be a match for him and Ning Lu. Go! Ning Lu's thoughts were similar to Human Demon's. He stomped on the ground and shot forward. Not good, someone's attacking. Inside the city lord's mansion, the meeting hall. Although the remaining cultivators couldn't participate in the battle between Emo-Chinya and Taoist Master Ku Yu, their perception wasn't weak. Almost as soon as Human Devil and Ning Lu rushed out, they noticed something was wrong. However, even if they had discovered some clues, it would be of no use. Human Demon and Ning Lu could easily defeat a half-step human immortal in a one-on-one fight. Therefore, in just a hasty exchange, two Peak Sage warriors were killed. Where are the Dark Sovereign and Lu Wei locked up? Chapter 1905. I'll talk, please don't kill me. The pinnacle sage martialist was called Hang Go. He said shakily, the two of them are locked in the secret chamber of the city lord mansion. I can lead the way. Then hurry up and lead the way. The Human Demon kicked Hang Ji's butt and said coldly, if I find out you're up to no good, I'll throw you out to feed the dogs. I wouldn't dare. In order to survive, Hang Go hurriedly waved her hands and obediently walked towards the secret chamber of the city lord manor. Whoosh! After Hang Go and the Human Demons left, the surviving people in the conference hall heaved a long sigh of relief. The pressure that the Human Demon had exerted on them just now was too great, only slightly weaker than Emo-Chinya's. They couldn't help but start to suspect something. What was the background of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei? Why did so many peerless experts come looking for them in such a short time? The rest of the martialists shook their heads. Since they couldn't figure it out, they didn't bother thinking about it. They could only watch as immortals fought. The secret chamber is just ahead. The Dark Emperor and Lu Wei are locked in there. On the other side, Hang Go pointed at the sealed stone door and said, the withered spiritual master said that anyone who enters the secret chamber without his permission will be killed. I don't dare to go in. You don't dare to go in? Ning Lu glared at Hang Go and said, if I tell you to go, then go. What's with all this nonsense? Fine. Hang Go gritted his teeth and slowly walked toward the sealed stone door. As Hang Go moved forward, he left only his back for Ning Lu and the Human Demon. Activate. In a flash, Hang Go stomped his right foot on the ground. Crack! In an instant, the ground caved in and a crisp sound came from below. After the crisp sound, a faintly discernible protective barrier protected Hanggu and the entire secret chamber. Ah! Hanggu looked at the human demon and Ning Lu, then suddenly raised his head and let out a strange laugh. Looks like Spiritual Master Ku Yu really has a good plan. He knew that you would come to save the black dog and Lu Wei, so I was ordered to stay behind and lure you there. Hang Ji's lips curled up and she said coldly, "To tell you the truth, a total of 4 people from the Heaven Secrets sect came down this time, and I am perfected Han Ying's disciple, Sun Keming. I don't care who you are, Keming. Originally, I wanted to let you live today, but since you're so stubborn, I can only send you to heaven." A cold light shot out of Ning Lu's eyes and suddenly shot towards Hanggu. Insignificant skill. Hanggu took out a piece of Tianji stone and threw it into the hole beneath her feet. Buzz! Just as the Tianji stone was thrown into the hole, the array was activated. The activation of the array formation directly caused the originally somewhat illusory protective shield to become solid. More importantly, the protective shield this time trapped Human Devil and Ning Lu inside. Very good, very good. Human Devil and Ning Lu became very calm. Although you've activated the array formation and formed a giant protective shield, you can't pose any threat to us with your current strength. That's right. Hanggu didn't deny it. He shrugged and said, "Indeed, I can't pose any threat to you, but my master, perfected Haning, and perfected Ku Yu can. I'll tell you the truth. My master, perfected Haning, has already calculated everything that happened today. Whether it was Mo Qianya's appearance or the 2 of you, my master already predicted it. Once my master and the others take care of Mo Qianya, the rest will be your turn." Hearing Hang Ji's words, Human Devil and Ning Lu's expressions became somewhat cold. They had tried just now, and the protective shield that trapped them was indeed not simple. Even if they used all their strength, they couldn't guarantee that they could break it in a short time. If they couldn't break the protective shield, and if perfected Han Ing and perfected Han Ing really defeated Mo Qianya, they would be in a situation of no return. Clap clap. Hanggu didn't care what Human Devil and Ning Lu were thinking. He clapped his hands and the door to the secret room slowly opened. Inside the secret chamber, a large black dog and a young woman were standing back to back in the same place. Without a doubt, the black dog was the Dark Emperor, and the young woman was Lu Wei. When they saw the door to the secret room open, they instantly turned into a blur and tried to rush out. Bang bang! The result was obvious. Both of them slammed into the protective shield and were bounced far away. Sigh, it's a pity that Master can't calculate Ning Yu's whereabouts. Otherwise, I would have been able to catch all of you in one fell swoop. Hanggu placed his hands behind his back and sighed softly with a slightly disappointed expression. You want to catch all of us in one fell swoop? However, an indifferent voice rang in Hang Ji's ears as soon as he finished speaking. Hang Ji's hair all over his body stood on end when he heard the voice. He hurriedly turned his head. He saw a thin young man hovering in midair. The blood-red flying sword in the young man's right hand was particularly dazzling. Ning Yu. The young man was none other than Ning Yu. How is this possible? Hanggu cried out in horror. His perception was very strong, and he was constantly paying attention to the changes in the surrounding void. Who would have thought that under his perception, Ning Yu would appear without anyone noticing? It really shocked him. Ning Yu. Ah! The Dark Emperor shouted excitedly when he saw Ning Yu floating in midair. The Dark Emperor suffered all kinds of torture when he was captured by perfected Ku Yu. His hair was cut until he was bald, and his body was covered in wounds. If it weren't for the Dark Emperor's belief that Ning Yu would come to save him, he would have probably died long ago. Ka ka ka. Ning Yu looked at the Dark Emperor's miserable state on the ground and clenched his fists so hard that they made cracking sounds. Buzz. Ning Yu wasn't the only one who was furious. Even the Red Devil was controlling the Red Devil sword, making buzzing sounds. The Red Devil, Ningyu, and the Dark Emperor. The three of them had experienced many life and death situations. They were very close to each other. Ningyu had never been so angry before. He wanted to kill, to start a massacre. The Heaven Secret sect will pay the price for what they did today. Ningyu's eyes flashed with a cold light. Soon after, the Yuan Qi in his body surged and poured into the Red Demon sword. Slash! Ningyu gripped the Red Devil sword tightly in his right hand and slashed in the air. Whoosh! The power of Ningyu's slash was extremely terrifying. The void was torn apart as countless terrifying gales gathered together and slashed towards the protective barrier. Master said that this protective barrier can withstand the attack of a true human immortal. I don't believe you can slash it apart. Chapter 1906. Under Hang Ji's horrified and furious gaze, Ning Yu's sword gleam collided with the protective barrier. For some reason, the sword gleam did not move an inch after coming into contact with the protective barrier. Ha ha ha! Seeing this, Hanggu suddenly laughed maniacally. In the process of laughing, Hanggu did not forget to take the time to mock Ningyu. A piece of trash like you wants to break the protective barrier? Maybe in your next life. Hanggu was very excited and in a good mood. In his opinion, as long as Ningyu could not break the protective barrier, their plan today would be perfect. Is that so? Faced with Hang Ji's mockery, Ningyu's lips curled up and he said calmly, "You're celebrating a little too early." "I'm celebrating a little too early? I think you've lost your mind." Hanggu pointed at his nose and said disdainfully. However, before Hanggu could finish his words, his expression changed drastically. Crack, 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 crack. Several crisp sounds rang in his ears like thunder from a clear sky. Hanggu froze on the spot when she heard the crisp voice. Crack. Ningyu did not care about Hang Ji's reaction. He wielded the Red Demon sword and slashed again. This time, the protective barrier finally could not withstand it and cracked. Swoosh. As soon as the protective barrier cracked, Human Demon and Ning Lu moved quickly and firmly restrained Hanggu. Human Demon and Ning Lu would not make the same mistake a second time. Ning Lu stretched out his right hand and suddenly slapped at Hang Ji's head. "You can't kill me. My master is perfected Han Ing. I'm the peerless." Hanggu could not help but shout as he looked at the palm that was slapping at him. However, how could Ning Lu give Hanggu another chance? He slapped down with his right hand, causing Hanggu to vomit blood on the spot. Subsequently, a terrifying devouring power surged out from Ning Lu's body, and in practically an instant, Hanggu was sucked dry. Who? After devouring Hanggu, Ning Lu took a deep breath and slowly said, "Enlightened Master Han Ing and Enlightened Master Ku, you already knew that we would come here, so they set up a trap. They wanted to use the protective barrier to trap us first and deal with us after they finished off Emochinya. Does that mean Taoist Master Ku Yu and the others are confident in subduing Emochinya?" Human Demon frowned. Human Demon knew Emochinya's strength. Although the God Transformation sect was a small force in a higher plane, this was the immortal spirit realm, and Emochinya was the vice-sect master of the God Transformation sect. Such a powerful being's strength and trump cards were not weak. It would definitely be difficult for Taoist Withered and Taoist Han Ing to control Emochinya. "I'm confident, but only 60%. Ning Lu said in a low voice. "If I'm not wrong, then their battle has probably reached a critical moment. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go and join in the fun." The Human Demon's eyes flickered to the side as he charged toward the battlefield in the void. Since the battle between Emochinya and Taoist Master Ku Yu had reached a critical juncture, there was no better time to go. As the saying went, strike while you're down. The Human Demon's plan was to wait until both sides were injured and then suddenly attack. That way, not only could he control Emochinya, but he could also control Taoist Master Ku Yu and Taoist Han Ing. "Alright." Ning Lu glanced at Ning Yu before charging into the void. President Meng, please stay behind and take care of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. I'll be right back. Since Ning Lu and Human Demon had gone, Ning Yu definitely wouldn't stay here alone. He didn't have time to catch up with the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. He hurriedly followed Ning Lu and Human Demon into the distance. Meng Chang'an looked at Ning Yu's back, then at the weak Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. In the end, he chose to stay behind. In truth, Meng Chang'an wanted to help. However, Meng Chang'an was well aware of his own strength. Right now, he was on a different level from Ning Yu and the others. Be it Ning Yu, Ning Lu or Human Demon, they were all a level higher than him. His strength was only at the peak of the Sage Realm, but Ning Yu and the others were genuine half-step human immortals, or even close to human immortals. Boom! At the same time, the battle between Mo Qianye and Taoist Master Ku Yu had reached its climax. Among them, Mo Qianye's clothes were tattered, and only half of his hair was left. As for Taoist Master Ku Yu and Taoist Han Ying, they weren't any better. Taoist Master Ku Yu's left leg was broken, and his body seemed to have been washed in blood. Taoist Han Ying's left eye was slightly closed. Clearly, he had been blinded by Mo Qianye. You think you can kill me with just the two of you? Mo Qianye hovered in the air and said proudly, I only need to use 80% of my strength to easily kill you. Humph. Who doesn't know how to brag? Taoist Master Ku Yu snorted. We didn't intend to use the Heaven Fate Stone, but since you're seeking death, don't blame us. With that, Taoist Master Ku Yu swallowed the Heaven Fate Stone. Buzz buzz buzz. As the Heaven Fate Stone entered his stomach, Taoist Master Ku Yu's aura skyrocketed at a terrifying speed. Half-step human immortal, peak half-step human immortal, early stage human immortal, mid-stage human immortal. Taoist Master Ku Yu was much stronger than his disciple, Bai Chang, in a high-level realm. Therefore, his disciple could only increase his cultivation to mid-stage human immortal, but he could increase it to late-stage human immortal. Rumble. After using the Heaven Fate Stone to increase his cultivation to late-stage human immortal, Taoist Master Ku Yu suddenly stopped. Actually, if he didn't stop, he could even raise perfected Ku Yu's cultivation to the peak of the human immortal stage. But this was the immortal spirit region, and the plane barrier hadn't been broken yet. Taoist Master Ku Yu could clearly feel that when his cultivation reached late-stage human immortal, the plane barrier shook a little, as if it was going to lock onto him. He didn't dare to take the risk, so he quickly stopped the Heaven Fate Stone. Late-stage human immortal. Mo Qianye wasn't the only one who was shocked by Taoist Master Ku Yu's aura. Even Ning Yu and the rest who were hiding in the void had grave expressions on their faces. Late-stage human immortal and mid-stage human immortal were two completely different concepts. It could be said that two mid-stage human immortal martial artists were definitely no match for a late-stage human immortal martial artist. How confident are you? The Human Demon turned to Ning Yu with a grave expression. Since Taoist Master Ku Yu used the Heaven Fate Stone to increase his cultivation to late-stage human immortal, then Taoist Master Han Ying should be able to do the same. That's right. Even if Taoist Master Ku Yu and Mo Qianye are both injured, we have to get rid of a late-stage human immortal martial artist. Ning Lu nodded in agreement. We might not have been confident before, but now the corner of Ning Yu's lips curled up slightly. He reached into his robes and took out a stone. The stone wasn't too big, but it was round. Chapter 1907. Heaven Fortune Stone. Ning Lu and the Human Demon exclaimed at the same time when they saw the stone in Ning Yu's hand. It was obvious that the stone in Ning Yu's hand was a Heaven Fortune Stone. Why do you have a Heaven Fortune Stone too? Asked the Human Demon after a brief moment of shock. The Human Demon was well aware of how precious the Heaven Fortune Stone was to the Heaven Fortune sect. Moreover, the Heaven Fortune sect's disciples treated the stone even more than their own children. Stone destroyed, people die. This was a saying that circulated in the Heaven Fortune sect. When Hang Ge was killed, it wasn't that the human demon didn't want to snatch the Heaven Fortune stone, but that he didn't have the chance. In other words, Hang Ge had already destroyed the Heaven Fortune stone when Ning Lu started devouring it. I killed wise Master Withered Domain's disciple, Bai Chang, so his Heaven Fortune stone naturally fell into my hands. Ning Yu said matter-of-factly. However, Ning Yu's eyes quickly widened. He stared at Ning Lu and said, "It seems like the cultivator you swallowed earlier was also a Heavenly Mystery Gate disciple. Did he not have a Heavenly Mystery Stone on him?" My ass. Ning Lu immediately cursed at the mention of this. He had indeed wanted to snatch Hang Ji's Heaven Fortune Stone, but he hadn't expected Hang Ge to be so stubborn and destroy the stone as soon as he made a move. "Tell me in detail, why didn't Bai Chang destroy the Heaven Fortune Stone?" asked the human demon curiously. "I killed him after he used the Heaven Fortune Stone and had the Hong Mo devour his primordial spirit." Ningyu shrugged and then repeated the situation at that time. The human demon fell into deep thought after listening to Ningyu's story. A moment later, the human demon came to a sudden realization and said, "If you want to snatch the Heaven Fortune Stone from someone of the Heaven Fortune sect, you have to fulfill two conditions. First, you have to use the Heaven Fortune Stone when they use it. Second, you have to defeat them quickly and capture their primordial spirit." Rumble. Just as the human demon finished his analysis, a terrifying clash broke out in the distance. Emo Chinya took out a silver flying sword and started fighting wise Master Withered Domain. Clearly, Emo Chinya was at an absolute disadvantage in this battle. After all, Dao Master Ku Yu had used the Tianji stone to boost his cultivation to the advanced worldly immortal stage. Even though Emo Chinya had used a sage-grade flying sword, he still couldn't hurt Dao Master Ku Yu. "Stop fooling around. Your Heaven Fortune Stone still has 5 seconds left." Enlightened Master Haining looked around and said to Enlightened Master Withered Domain, "We have to get rid of Emo Chinya quickly. I have a feeling that something is wrong with Hang Ge." In order to trap Emo Chinya, Perfected Master Haining and Perfected Master had set up a powerful restriction. Fortune Immortal Sect Haining and Yun had set up as God Fortune Stones stopped. Chun Tian Yun had set up. After all, the immortal spirit realm was about to undergo a huge change. Many experts from the higher realms had descended. Even though they had the Tianji stone, it could only be used 3 times. Every time it was used, there would be one less. Lu and Heaven Fortune, Lu Fortune clan, they Lu clan had fortune, stone as in could. A fortune clan was had stone was had Fong had fortune stone. Had spirit was had fortune stone. Don't worry. 5 seconds is enough to trap Emo Chinya. Perfected Master Withered Domain turned around to look at Perfected Master Haining. Then, he charged at Emo Chinya, using his body to block the Holy Sword. Perfected Master Withered Domain decided to use his body to block Emo Chinya's Holy Sword. If this was a higher realm, Perfected Master Withered Domain would not dare to block the Holy Sword with his body. After all, the Holy Sword was powerful enough to injure a peak human immortal. However, this was the immortal spirit sect Lu and Emo Chinya's combat power was limited. He could not use the Holy Sword to its fullest. How could Perfected Master Withered Domain be afraid? Bang! In the next moment, Perfected Master Withered Domain's fist collided with Emo Chinya's Holy Sword. Nothing earth-shattering happened when the two collided. There was only a crisp sound as the Holy Sword was sent flying by a powerful force. Meanwhile, Emo Chinya spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Swoosh! Swoosh! Perfected Master Withered Domain chased after Emo Chinya, while Perfected Master Haining charged at the Holy Sword. The Holy Sword was very precious. It was rare even in higher realms. Perfected Master Haining would not give it up. However, enlightened Master Han Ing was so focused on the holy sword that he neglected the human demon and Ning Yu's group hiding in the void. Unfortunately, the holy sword flew in the direction where Ning Yu and the rest were. Attack with all your strength. You must kill perfected Master Haining in one strike. Ning Yu's expression turned grave as he looked at the holy sword and perfected Master Haining charging at him. As long as he could get rid of perfected Master Haining, he could definitely get rid of perfected Master Withered Domain. Perfected Master Withered Domain should be in a weakened state after using the Divine Fate Stone. He could not use his peak strength. Heaven Prison Fist. The human demon used his strongest move, the Heaven Imprisoning Fist. Go! Ning Lu did not hold back. He took out the dark golden branch in his body and decided to use it to kill perfected Master Haining. Divine Fate Stone. As for Ning Yu, he took out the Divine Fate Stone he got from Bai Chong and wanted to use it to increase his cultivation. Gotcha, Holy Sword! Perfected Master Han Ing clearly did not expect that there would be danger waiting for him in front of him. He grabbed the holy sword with an excited expression. With the holy sword, perfected Master Haining's strength would double. Oh no! However, perfected Master Haining was an expert of the Heaven Secrets sect and was well versed in the art of Heaven Secrets. Almost as soon as Ning Yu and the others made their move, he reacted. Perfected Master Haining did not think about anything else and immediately used the Divine Fate Stone. Buzz buzz. Perfected Master Haining's strength instantly increased to mid-stage human immortal after the Divine Fate Stone entered his stomach. Moreover, it continued to increase. However, just as perfected Master Haining's cultivation was about to increase to late-stage human immortal, the three terrifying attacks from Ning Yu and the rest had already reached him. He had no choice but to give up on the Divine Fate Stone and fight head-on with Ning Yu and the rest. Ning Yu fought against perfected Master Haining first. With the boost from the Divine Fate Stone, Ning Yu's strength also increased to mid-stage human immortal, and there were signs of him breaking through to late-stage human immortal. Ning Yu launched a sneak attack while perfected Master Haining hurriedly defended himself. The result was obvious. Perfected Master Haining did not dodge Ning Yu's attack and vomited blood. What made perfected Master Haining angry was yet to come. Following that, Human Demon's Heaven Imprisoning Fist and Ning Lu's Dark Golden Branch landed on his body at the same time. Perfected Master Haining spat out several mouthfuls of blood and was sent flying. His aura instantly dropped from mid-stage human immortal to perfected sage. Chase. Ning Yu and Human Demon would not let perfected Master Haining off. Chapter 1908. Perfected Withered Domain, Save Me. After being hit by a few attacks in succession, not only did Taoist Han Ying's aura fall to rock bottom, a huge wound even appeared on his chest. The attacks from Ning Yu and the Human Demon were extremely powerful. If Han Ing hadn't used the Heavenly Fate Stone to negate most of the force, he would have been turned into a meat patty. Even so, perfected Han Ying's current state was at the lowest point in his life. Now, let alone Ning Yu and Human Demon, even a random Sage Realm warrior was enough to kill him. Han Ing retreated, while asking for help from perfected Withered Domain. Damn it! Perfected Withered Domain couldn't help but curse when he heard Han Ying's cry for help. The Heavenly Fate Stone's amplification only lasted for 10 seconds. 10 seconds had passed, and perfected Withered Domain had successfully captured Mo Qianye. His original plan was to plant a restriction in Mo Qianye's mind and interrogate him for some information. But now, perfected Han Ying's situation had completely disrupted his plans. He and Han Ing were both from the Heaven Secrets sect and had descended from a high-level plane together. He had to save Han Ing no matter what. Stay here. After cursing, perfected Withered Domain waved his hands and set up a small array around Mo Qianye. After all, He had gone through a lot of trouble and even used the heavenly fate stone to capture Emochinya. He definitely wouldn't give up. Swoosh. After setting up the small array, perfected withered domain's figure flickered and flew toward Han Ing. This is my chance. Emochinya's desolate eyes lit up when he saw perfected withered domain's departure. He thought he was done for, but who would have thought that someone would help him at the critical moment? Who is it? Emochinya's eyes shifted to the other side of the battlefield. It's them. Emochinya's expression turned ugly when he saw who it was. Ning Yu and the human demon were his enemies. Last time in the Moling Mountain Range, it was Ning Yu and the human demon who caused trouble, causing him to trigger the planar barrier and be killed by the planar barrier. The appearance of Ning Yu and the human devil gave him a chance to escape. I should think of a way to leave this place first. I'll come back for revenge when I'm at my peak. Emochinya was no fool. With his current mental state, he was completely unable to join the battle on the other side and seek revenge on human demon. The only thing he could do now was to think of a way to leave and then wait for an opportunity to strike. Open! At the thought of this, Emochinya waved his hands repeatedly and bombarded the small formations around him. Ka. Under Emochinya's incessant bombardment, the small formation around him actually emitted crisp, cracking sounds. However, Emochinya might have overlooked withered domain's formation prowess and his current state. If he was at his peak, he could easily break through the small arrays around him. But now, it was very difficult for him to break the array in a short time. Damn it, I hope Ning Yu and the human devil can hold on for a while longer. Emochinya couldn't help but curse when he saw that he couldn't break the small formations. In his opinion, the battle between Ning Yu and Withered Domain was destined to end with Withered Domain's victory. After all, Withered Domain came from the Heaven's Secrets sect of a higher plane. His cultivation was also incomparably powerful. Rumble. At the same time, in the distant void, Withered Domain was already fighting with Ning Yu and the others. Emochinya's thoughts were correct. Withered Domain's people were truly powerful. In terms of pure strength, perfected Master Han Ing couldn't compare to Withered Domain at all. Moreover, when perfected Master Han Ing was sent flying, his right hand had grasped tightly onto the sacred sword. In other words, the sacred sword was in Withered Domain's hands. There was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. Instead, you barged into hell. With the sacred sword in hand, Withered Domain forced Ning Yu and the others back. Today, I'll let you know what true strength is. As soon as he finished speaking, Withered Domain took out a white elixir and tossed it into his mouth. Buzz. As the elixir entered his stomach, Withered Domain's aura soared at a terrifying speed. In the beginning, Withered Domain used the Heaven's Secret Stone to increase his cultivation to the late-stage human immortal realm. After using the Heaven's Secret Stone, Withered Domain's aura also decreased to a certain extent. But after swallowing a white elixir, Withered Domain's aura directly soared to its peak state. Swallow. In the next moment, Withered Domain directly swallowed the Heaven's Secret Stone. Buzz. Buzz. Withered Domain's strength soared again after the Heaven's Secret's stone entered his stomach. Early-stage human immortal realm, mid-stage human immortal realm, late-stage human immortal realm. This time, Withered Domain's aura instantly soared to the late-stage human immortal realm and continued to soar. Boom. A muffled sound rang out. Withered Domain's aura had soared to the peak of human immortal realm. Moreover, there was a faint halo around Withered Domain's body. That halo was used to resist the immortal spirit realm's plane barrier. You guys can be proud of yourself for forcing me to use my trump card. Feeling the terrifying energy coming from his body, Withered Domain twisted his neck and said coldly, "I won't kill you. I'll only chop off your limbs and refine you into human stick puppets. Ning Lu, think of a way to kill perfected Han Ing. The human demon and I will stay behind to deal with Withered Domain." At the critical moment, Ningyu did not panic and remained calm. Although withered domain was his greatest enemy, perfected Han was not to be underestimated. If he recovered to his peak state, the consequences would be unimaginable. No problem. Ning Lu did not argue with Ningyu. He stomped on the ground and charged towards perfected Han. Where are you going? Withered Domain yelled and rushed out to block Ning Lu when he saw Ning Lu charging towards perfected Han. However, before Withered Domain could reach Ning Lu, his path was blocked by Ning Yu and the human demon. Your opponents are us. Ning Yu was on the left and the human demon was on the right. They spoke at the same time. Die. This was the first time Withered Domain felt so angry. He swung the sacred sword in his hand and several sword rays shot out at Ning Yu and the human demon. Heaven Prison Fist. The human demon took a step forward and pulled Ning Yu behind him. He then used his trump card, Heaven Prison Fist. Divine Fate Stone. Ning Yu circulated the god of war blood in his heart and forced himself to activate the Divine Fate Stone a second time. Withered Domain could activate the Divine Fate Stone twice in a short period of time because he had consumed the white pill. If Ningyu wanted to activate the Divine Fate Stone a second time, he would have to pay the price. Chapter 1909. Chi. Ningyu's aura soared at a terrifying speed as he activated the Heaven Fate Stone for the second time. If Ningyu hadn't used his full strength when he first activated the Heavenly Fate Stone, then this time, he didn't hold back at all and pushed the Heavenly Fate Stone to its limit. His body made a sizzling sound as Ningyu's cultivation rose to the late-stage human immortal realm. Just as Ningyu's cultivation rose to the late-stage human immortal realm, the human demon and perfected withered domain's battle came to an end. 3 moves. In just 3 moves, the human demon was defeated by perfected withered domain. I'm so pissed. The human devil felt very aggrieved, and he cried out in frustration. This was the immortal spirit realm, and the human demon did not have any trump cards with him. As a result, he could not unleash the strength of a human immortal like perfected withered domain. Otherwise, with the human demon's strength in a high-level realm, killing perfected withered domain would be a piece of cake. Crack. After the human demon was defeated, the outcome of the battle on the other side of the battlefield was also decided. Perfected Hanian crushed the Heaven Fate Stone on his body before he died. Boom. The Heaven Fate Stone shattered, and perfected Hanian's body expanded rapidly before exploding. Fortunately, Ning Lu was prepared in time. Otherwise, the shockwave from perfected Hanian's explosion would be enough to kill him. But even so, Ning Lu's current state also fell to rock bottom. I want all of you dead. Perfected Withered Domain's eyes widened in anger when he sensed perfected Hanian's death. Perfected Withered Domain knew that he was responsible for perfected Hanian's death. Unless he could obtain a large amount of origin energy, he would definitely be punished by the higher-ups of the Heaven Fate sect when he returned to the high-level realm. Your opponent is me. Ningyu appeared in front of perfected Withered Domain in the blink of an eye and slashed with the red demon sword. The terrifying sword radiance charged at perfected Withered Domain at a terrifying speed. Child's play. Taoist Master Ku Yu also waved the sacred sword in his hand and slashed out a sword light. Crack. The 2 sword lights collided and a crisp sound rang out. Then, both of them dissipated. You do have some skills. The corners of perfected Withered Domain's mouth curled up slightly when he saw the sword radiance disappear. He said coldly, but this time, I can maintain my peak human immortal stage for 3 minutes, while you can only maintain it for about a minute. Let's see how you're going to fight me. Under normal circumstances, the Heaven's Fortune Stone could maintain a boost in cultivation for 10 seconds. However, both perfected Withered Domain and Ning Yu were using the Heaven Fate Stone for the second time. To them, activating the Tianji Stone for a second time already required a price, so they could increase their cultivation by more than 10 seconds. 1 minute is enough to kill you. Ningyu brandished the red demon's sword in his hand again, unleashing several sword projections. Voila! The overwhelming sword gleams seemed to have eyes of their own as they accurately shot towards Venerable Kuyu. Kill! Facing the oncoming terrifying sword light, Taoist Master Kuyu did not retreat. Instead, he charged forward with the holy sword. Swoosh! As perfected withered domain advanced, he swung the holy sword in his hand continuously. Almost every time he swung the sword, a sword radiance would be shot down. In an instant, perfected withered domain was in front of Ningyu. Die! Perfected withered domain threw the holy sword in his hand and stabbed it at Ningyu's heart. Perfected withered domain's sword wasn't an ordinary attack, but an attack that contained all the strength he had in his life. It could be said that perfected withered domain's sword could kill a peak human immortal stage martial artist even in a higher plane. At the critical moment, Ningyu hurriedly dodged to the side and narrowly dodged perfected withered domain's fatal attack. However, even though Ningyu had dodged the fatal attack, he still failed to dodge perfected withered domain's second attack. Whoosh! The holy sword turned around and stabbed into Ningyu's chest. Fresh blood spurted out of Ningyu's mouth as his aura plummeted. Swoosh! However, the moment Ningyu was stabbed by the holy sword, Ningyu also threw the red demon sword in his hand. The red demon inside the red demon's sword pushed its speed to the limit. Perfected withered domain was still in a daze when he controlled the red demon's sword to stab his heart. Even though perfected withered domain had used the holy sword to block the attack at the last moment, he still couldn't escape the tragic fate of being stabbed in the heart by the red demon's sword. Perfected withered domain's eyes were wide open as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with disbelief. His aura was currently at the peak human immortal stage, while Ningyu was only at the late stage human immortal stage. How could Ningyu stab his heart when there was a gap in their cultivation levels? Again, Ningyu didn't intend to give perfected withered domain a chance. He shouted at the red demon. Swoosh! The red demon hid in the red demon's sword and fused with it. The red demon's sword swiftly moved, arriving in front of perfected withered domain in an instant and slashed at his head. With his heart pierced, perfected withered domain was only left with his origin spirit. There was no way he could withstand the red demon sword's powerful attack. Perfected withered domain's head was chopped off in an instant. The mountains will never change, and the rivers will always flow. We'll meet again in the future. Perfected withered domain's remaining origin spirit hurriedly tore through the void and flew into the distance. Where there's life, there's hope. At this critical moment, perfected withered domain couldn't care less about the lives of others. In the face of disaster, everyone flew away. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to evacuate as soon as possible. He had to do everything possible to evacuate, but how could Ningyu allow him to retreat? Ningyu chased after him, grabbed the red demon's sword, and slashed out another sword ray. Arg! Taoist withered domain let out a blood-curdling screech as his essence spirit was split in half by this terrifying sword beam. Then, the red demon's sword left Ningyu's hand and charged at perfected withered domain's origin spirit. You'll die a horrible death for offending the Heaven's secret sect. Perfected withered domain yelled crazily the moment before his origin spirit was devoured. Noisy. The red demon suddenly rushed out of the red demon's sword, opened his mouth, and swallowed the two halves of perfected withered domain's origin spirit. Buzz. The red demon's aura soared rapidly as the origin spirit entered his stomach. The red demon's cultivation was originally at the peak of the sage realm, and there was a high chance that he could advance to the perfected sage realm after devouring perfected withered domain's origin spirit. Crack! What Ningyu and the Red Devil didn't know was that in the Thousand Demon Ridge of the Immortal Spirit region, a black shadow suddenly crushed the rock in its hand. If Ningyu and the others were here, they would definitely realize that the stone in the Black Shadow's hand wasn't an ordinary stone, but a heaven-secret stone. Crushing a heaven-secret stone casually was enough to show how terrifying the Black Shadow was. How dare you kill 2 experts of the heaven-secret sect? No matter who you are, I'll capture you and skin you alive. Chapter 1910. In the Myriad Demon Ridge, Ningyu didn't know about the Black Shadow's reaction. At this moment, he was guarding Hong Mo's side, acting as his protector. Hong Mo had devoured 2 halves of perfected Withered Domain's primordial spirit and was now trying to break through to the Saint Realm. If Hong Mo could successfully break through to the Saint Realm, his strength would improve by leaps and bounds. At the very least, he wouldn't be helpless when facing perfected Withered Domain, completely relying on Ningyu to devour the Divine Fate Stone a second time. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away little by little. In this area, Ningyu was guarding Hong Mo while he tried to break through to the Saint Realm. Ning Lu and Human Demon were sitting cross-legged, trying their best to recuperate. As for Mo Qianye, who was not far away, he was desperately attacking the small formation around him. Mo Qianye was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. When he saw that perfected Withered Domain was killed, he was overjoyed because he thought that he could easily break the small formation and escape from this area. Who would have thought that even though perfected Withered Domain was killed, the small formation he had set up was still extremely powerful. At the very least, with his current ability, it was difficult to break it in a short time. He couldn't break the small formation, and Ningyu and the others were recuperating. The situation was extremely unfavorable for him. I have to think of a way to get the people in the hall to come and help. Mo Qianye rolled his eyes and instantly gave up on attacking the formation. Perfected Withered Domain and Perfected Haining had gathered a lot of people to join forces to activate the Peerless Teleportation Formation hidden under Square City. Both Perfected Withered Domain and Perfected Haining had died in battle, and Ningyu and the others were in an extremely weak state. At this time, as long as those people came to interfere, he could fish in troubled waters and leave this place completely. Mo Qianye wasn't an indecisive person. He immediately activated a secret art and didn't hesitate to burn his essence blood in order to notify everyone in the hall. Come quickly, there's a great opportunity. Mo Qianye's words were very simple, because he knew very well that it was useless no matter how much he said. After saying this, he closed his eyes, sat cross-legged on the ground, and converged his aura into his body. Mo Qianye didn't want to see his weak side when someone came over. After all, he still needed those people to help him break the small array formation. Once those people knew that he was in a weakened state, he would definitely be in deep trouble. Voila! Mo Qianye's words caused all the cultivators in the hall to reveal astonished expressions. Among them, a peak saint martial artist said in a deep voice, "Did Mo Qianye win? I don't think so." If Mo Qianye won, he wouldn't have said that he had a great fortune. Another warrior shook his head and said, "In my opinion, Taoist Master Ku Yu and Taoist Master Han Ing have won, and Mo Qianye wants us to join hands with him to deal with Taoist Master Ku Yu and Taoist Master Han Ing." Perfected Han Ing. Whoosh. This martial artist's words won everyone's approval. Comparatively speaking, they hoped that Perfected Withered Domain and Perfected Han Ing would win. Perfected Han Ing and Perfected Ku Yu had said that they would bring them to the Myriad Demon Ridge to search for fortuitous opportunities. Mo Qianye was the deputy sect master of the God Transformation sect. The God Transformation sect had always been known for being overbearing. Mo Qianye would definitely not bring them along. Then what should we do now? A martial artist asked doubtfully. In my opinion, we can go and see the situation first. If Perfected Ku Yu has the upper hand, we'll help him. If Mo Qianye has the upper hand, we'll help him. The martial artist who spoke just now suggested. This martial artist was called Wu Wentian. He was a typical fence-sitter. Then let's not delay. Let's go now. Most of the martial artists agreed with Wu Wentian's suggestion. Therefore, the remaining martial artists all moved and rushed to the battlefield in the void. It was obvious that these people had forgotten how terrifying Human Demon and Ning Lu were. If Hang Ge hadn't lured Human Demon and Ning Lu away, they would have been killed long ago. How could they be where they were now? Let's not talk about this for now. It didn't take long for Wu Wentian and the others to arrive at the edge of the battlefield. Where are perfected withered domain and the others? Wu Wentian stared at the battlefield in front of him and said in surprise, "Did they activate the teleportation array in advance and head to the Myriad Demon Ridge?" Wu Wentian didn't see perfected Ku Yu and perfected Han Ying in his line of sight. However, Wu Wentian didn't think that perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying had died in battle. At most, he thought that perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying had lied to them and headed to the Myriad Demon Ridge alone. A bunch of trash. Emo Chinya stood up abruptly and said coldly in Wu Wentian's ears, "Perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying died in my hands. Ning Yu and the others tried to sneak up on me while I was injured, but they were all seriously injured by me." Hearing Emo Chinya's words, Ning Lu couldn't help but laugh out loud. Among Ning Yu and the others, in terms of the degree of injury, the Red Fiend suffered the lightest injury. However, Hong Emo was trying his best to break through to the perfected Sage Realm and had no time to argue with Emo Chinya and the others. Ning Lu was different. He wasn't seriously injured, so he laughed out loud after hearing Emo Chinya's shameless word. "What are you laughing at?" Emo Chinya stared at Ning Lu and said coldly, "You've been seriously injured by me. If you don't get treated in time, you might not live past today." "You want to attack me?" Ning Lu couldn't be bothered with Emo Chinya. He turned to Wu Wentian and the others and said, "I'm standing right here. If you want to court death, feel free to attack." Ning Lu was well aware of the defensive power of the small array formation around Emo Chinya. It could be said that even Ning Lu couldn't break this small array formation. Otherwise, Ning Lu wouldn't be talking nonsense here. He would have attacked and killed Emo Chinya. To be honest, Ning Lu was a little envious as he watched Hong Emo devour perfected Han Ying's essence spirit. When he killed perfected Han Ying, perfected Han Ying detonated the Heaven Secret Stone along with his body and essence spirit. Since he couldn't devour the essence spirit, Ning Lu's target was naturally Emo Chinya. However, the small array formation around Emo Chinya stopped him. Helpless, Ning Lu could only change his target to Wu Wentian and the others. Wu Wentian hesitated when he saw how confident Ning Lu was. He could tell that Ning Lu was at the Great Perfection Saint Realm, just like him. However, Ning Lu was different from his perfected Sage Realm. Ning Lu's strength was much higher than his. He was definitely no match for Ning Lu in a one-on-one battle. "What do you guys think?" Wu Wentian rolled his eyes and asked the few martial artists beside him. "We don't have any opinion." The other martial artists hurriedly distanced themselves from Wu Wentian. At this moment, no matter how stupid they were, they could tell that things weren't as Emo Chinya said. Chapter 1911. "You're all fence-sitters." Wu Wentian trembled with anger and said fiercely. But soon, Wu Wentian's tone changed and he said to Ning Lu, "I came here mainly to settle accounts with Emo Chinya. Before you came, Emo Chinya attacked me and broke one of my front teeth. I want to get revenge on him now." Swoosh. Wu Wentian's words made everyone's mouths open slightly, and their faces were full of confusion. They had seen shameless people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. You change your face faster than you change your breathing. A second ago, he was standing on the opposite side of Ning Lu, and the next second, he immediately compromised. "Very well, I'll stand here and see how you kill Emo Chinya." Ning Lu had seen many fence-sitters like this. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at Wu Wentian with interest. As long as you can kill Emochinya, I'm willing to accept you as my follower. This, Emochinya's face became a little ugly. He was just talking big. He definitely wouldn't dare to kill Emochinya. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Even if Emochinya was in a weakened state at this time, he still wouldn't dare to go forward. However, Wu Wentian didn't dare to offend Ning Lu either. With a thought, he waved his hands repeatedly and pushed away the two martial artists beside him. Wu Wentian, you'll die a horrible death. The martial artist pushed away by Wu Wentian was at the late stage of the Saint Realm. They were standing closer to Wu Wentian, so they suffered an unexpected disaster. Wu Wentian didn't care how these two martial artists scolded him. What he was concerned about now was whether Emochinya still had terrifying strength. It couldn't be better to use two late-stage Saint Realm martial artists to test him. Although Wu Wentian was a fence-sitter, his strength wasn't weak. No matter how hard the two late-stage Saint Realm martial artists struggled, they couldn't escape the fate of flying toward Emochinya. Almost in an instant, they came to Emochinya's side. However, when their bodies touched the small formation around Emochinya, they made a sizzling sound on the spot and quickly turned into nothingness. The sudden change caused Wu Wentian and the others to gasp. Emochinya had killed two late-stage sage experts in an instant, and it seemed that he hadn't done anything yet. With a single thought, Wu Wentian hastily rushed toward Emochinya. Has Wu Wentian lost his mind? He's still opposing Emochinya at this time. Let's not care about him. We should take care of ourselves. That's right. Stay away from Wu Wentian lest he betrays you. Seeing Wu Wentian rushing towards Emochinya, the surrounding martial artists discussed spiritedly. As soon as these cultivators finished their discussion, they opened their mouths again with dumbfounded expressions. Wu Wentian suddenly stopped a few meters away from Emochinya and said, "Sect Master Emo, I've decided to forsake darkness and join you in dealing with these people." Wu Wentian spoke with a strong sense of righteousness as he wept bitterly like a person who had lost his footing. This is too shameless. Wu Wentian's actions made everyone sad. Wu Wentian could no longer be considered a fence-sitter. It was best to describe him as a weakling. Fine, go and kill Ningyu for me. Emochinya didn't pursue Wu Wentian's previous mistakes. He pointed at Ningyu and said in a deep voice, "As long as you can kill Ningyu, I'll forgive what you did just now." Sect Master Emo, I'm only at the peak of the Sage Realm. Isn't it inappropriate for me to kill Ningyu? Wu Wentian hesitated. Emochinya didn't answer. Instead, he frowned slightly and his expression became a little unsightly. I'll do it. I'll definitely kill Ningyu. Emochinya's expression caused Wu Wentian's heart to tremble. He hurriedly patted his chest and said, "I can kill trash like Ningyu in one move." As soon as the word kill fell, an afterimage suddenly rushed out of Wu Wentian's body and rushed towards Ningyu at high speed. A clone? Everyone exclaimed when they saw the afterimage that dashed out of Wu Wentian's body. Although Wu Wentian was a strong opponent, they had to admit that he was indeed very strong. Moreover, his cultivation was at the peak of the Sage Realm. He was only one step away from the peak of the Sage Realm. Rumor had it that Wu Wentian's cultivation was at the peak of the human immortal realm. This time, Wu Wentian had descended to the immortal spirit realm to search for the origin energy. He wanted to use the origin energy to break through to the earth immortal realm. You're courting death. Ning Lu leaped and landed in front of Ningyu. Clenching his right fist, Ning Lu threw a punch at Wu Wentian's clone. Crack! The moment Ning Lu's fist came into contact with Wu Wentian's clone, it was blasted into two halves and shattered on the spot. Wu Wentian spat out a mouthful of blood after the clone was blasted into two. His aura dropped rapidly. Anyone who dares to harm Ningyu is going against me. Ning Lu took a step forward and released a terrifying aura as he said coldly. Ning Lu was the Tree of World. He was recovering at every moment. Although he still had some injuries, he could already use 80% of his peak strength. Wu Wentian might not be able to do anything to Ning Lu even if he attacked himself, let alone a clone that only had 30% of his strength. Stop pretending. I know you're not injured. Emo Qianye stared at Wu Wentian. If you don't use your full strength, don't blame me for. Emo Qianye's expression changed drastically before he could finish his sentence. As the vice-sect leader of a high-level transformed god sect, and someone who had hidden in the immortal spirit realm for a long time, Emo Qianye already had a deep understanding of the plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm. He could clearly feel that the plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm was loosening. Although he didn't know why the plane barrier was loosening, Emo Qianye knew that in about half an hour, the plane barrier's suppression on him would weaken by more than half. At that time, even if he couldn't use the strength of a mid-stage Earth Immortal, it wouldn't be a problem for him to use the strength of an early-stage Earth Immortal. Emo Qianye was confident. When he recovered his strength of an early-stage Earth Immortal, he would only need to move a finger to break the small formation left by Spiritual Master Kuyu. You don't need to kill Ningyu. You just need to stay by my side. Emo Qianye corrected himself. You really don't want to kill Ningyu? Wu Wentian said excitedly. Although he didn't know why Emo Qianye was doing this, Wu Wentian was very excited as long as he didn't attack. After all, with his strength, even if he fought Ning Lu with all his strength, he might not win. Now that Emo Qianye said that he just needed to stay by his side, how could he not be excited? Oh no, someone from a high-level plane is destroying the plane barrier. In this area, Emo Qianye wasn't the only one who could feel that the plane barrier was about to weaken. Human Demon. Human Demon came from a high-level plane, and his cultivation was even higher than Emo Qianye's. Chapter 1912. Ningyu, we have to leave as soon as possible. The Red Devil's expression was solemn as he sent a soul transmission to Ningyu. In another half an hour, the planar barrier will completely loosen. At that time, all the martial artists that descend from the higher planes will have their cultivation restored to near their peak. Swoosh. Hearing the human demon's words, Ningyu opened his eyes. Ningyu was well aware of the consequences of loosening the planar barrier, even without the human demon's reminder. He could use the Heaven Fate Stone to raise his cultivation to the late human immortal stage. After lowering his cultivation to the late human immortal stage, Ningyu was able to fight evenly with a peak human immortal stage expert. Even so, Ningyu didn't dare to let his guard down. First of all, he had already used the Heavenly Fortune Stone twice in a row, and Bai Chong had used it once before. Therefore, he could not use the Heavenly Fortune Stone anymore. He was praying that Hong Imo could find the Heaven Fate Stone after devouring Dao Master Ku Yu's primordial spirit. However, Dao Master Ku Yu's Heaven Fate Stone had been used twice, so he could only use it once. Moreover, even if he used the Heaven Fate Stone to raise his cultivation to the late human immortal stage, he still wouldn't be able to deal with an Earth immortal stage cultivator. Ningyu knew what the human demon was worried about. Emo Qianye was the vice-sect leader of the Transformation God sect in the higher plane, and his cultivation was at the mid-Earth immortal stage. If the plane barrier loosened, Emo Qianye could at least recover to the early Earth immortal stage. To be honest, Ningyu had no chance of winning against an early Earth immortal stage Emo Qianye. Senior Human Demon, you're also from a higher plane. Can't you deal with Emo Qianye? Ningyu asked. Emo Qianye wasn't the only one from a higher plane. The human demon was also from a higher plane. Moreover, Ningyu knew that the human demon's cultivation was definitely higher than Emo Qianye's. After the plane barrier loosens, I should be able to recover to the mid-Earth immortal stage in an instant. But I can't help you, because as soon as the bit wall loosens, my enemies from the higher planes will descend and kill me. The human demon said in a deep voice. I'm afraid I won't be able to take care of you when the time comes. So, the most important thing now is to leave Four Corner City as soon as possible, and then we'll split up. Ning Yu's expression became extremely solemn. He remembered very clearly that the last time he was separated from the human devil was at the Moling Mountain Range. At that time, the human devil wanted to go to the Pill Emperor City to search for something important, so he chose to separate from Ning Yu. Now that they had to separate, there was no need to think about it to know that the human demon was in great danger. Is there no other way? Ning Yu took a deep breath and asked. There is a way. The human demon thought for a moment, then said, activate the teleportation formation below Four Corner City in half an hour. We'll use it to head to the Myriad Demon's Ridge. If I'm not mistaken, the experts from the high-level existential planes have already locked onto my position. As soon as the dimensional barrier loosens, they will send people to Four Corner City to deal with me. When the time comes, we'll activate the teleportation formation and leave. We'll be able to avoid them easily. Four Corner City was very far from the Myriad Demon's Ridge. Although the people from the high-level existential planes had a way to lock onto the human devil, it would consume a lot of energy each time. As long as the teleportation formation was activated, the human devil would have a way to avoid being locked onto by those people. Then what are we waiting for? Think of a way to activate the teleportation formation. Ning Yu made a prompt decision and decided to activate the formation. There were several things he needed to prepare in order to activate the teleportation formation below Four Corner City. First, evacuate the crowd. Second, activate the altars around the city. Third, when the city collapsed and the underground teleportation formation appeared, he would pour a huge amount of energy into it. Ning Lu, now that Emotianya is trapped in a small formation, do you have the confidence to subdue Wu Wentian? Ning Yu turned and sent a spiritual message to Ning Lu. 1 or 2 people wouldn't be able to accomplish these 3 tasks at the same time. Ning Yu's idea was to let Ning Lu control Wu Wentian, then have the latter and a few other martial artists activate the altars around Four Corner City. As for Ning Lu and Wu Potion's group, they would be responsible for evacuating the crowd. The final task of activating the teleportation formation would require everyone to work together. I'm 100% sure. With that, Ning Lu's figure flashed and rushed toward Wu Wentian. Ning Lu had heard the conversation between Ning Yu and the human devil. Controlling Wu Wentian and finding a way to activate the teleportation formation were the most important things. Not good. Wu Wentian thought that Ning Lu wouldn't dare to attack him after relying on Emotianya. Unexpectedly, he didn't have long to relax before he found Ning Lu rushing toward him. Wu Wentian felt that he couldn't deal with Ning Lu, so he hurriedly asked Emotianya for help. Trash, you and him are both peak Saint Realm cultivators. If you can't even deal with him, you can go die. Emotianya didn't decide to help Wu Wentian. On the contrary, he said fiercely, I'll give you half an hour. If you can't control Ning Lu in half an hour, I'll make my move. Emotianya's plan was very good. The planar barrier would loosen in half an hour. Once it did, his cultivation would return to the early Earth immortal level. At that time, he wouldn't need to worry about Ning Lu and the others. After all, they were immortal spirit realm natives. Even if the planar barrier loosened, their strength wouldn't increase too much. Damn it! Wu Wentian cursed inwardly when he saw that Emotianya wasn't going to help him. Wu Wentian had relied on Emotianya so that Emotianya could protect him. Now that Emotianya wasn't willing to help Ning Lu, Wu Wentian actually wanted to turn to Ning Lu. Bang! However, the thought of relying on Ning Lu had just appeared in Wu Wentian's mind when Ning Lu's fist arrived in front of him. Helpless, Wu Wentian could only clench his right fist and punch. The two fists collided and a crisp sound rang out. After the blow, Ning Lu stood in place and didn't retreat an inch. On the other hand, Wu Wentian retreated rapidly, and only stopped after retreating more than 10 meters. This move was enough to determine who was superior. Again, Ning Lu's task was to control Wu Wentian. After the first move, he immediately dashed out, wanting to use the second move. However, before Ning Lu could reach Wu Wentian hastily shouted, "Stop, stop! I surrender!" Swoosh. Hearing that Wu Wentian had surrendered, Ning Lu stopped in midair with a swoosh. "Stop fighting, I've decided to forsake darkness for light." Wu Wentian patted his chest and said righteously, "I have a grudge against Mo Qianyan. The reason why I relied on him just now was to get close to him and find his weakness. Now that I've found his weakness, I naturally want to deal with him with you." Wu Wentian spoke with righteousness. Those who didn't know Wu Wentian would definitely be deceived. "It's not impossible to rely on me." How could Ning Lu be deceived by Wu Wentian? He said in a low voice, "Open your mind, let me leave a wisp of soul force in your mind." Okay. Wu Wentian didn't even think. He closed his eyes and opened his mind. Chapter 1913. Swoosh. Seeing Wu Wentian's actions, the surrounding cultivators widened their eyes, their faces filled with confusion. They knew that Wu Wentian was a fence-sitter, but they didn't expect him to be so spineless. Grass on the fence. If the wind is strong, it will fall with the wind there. However, Wu Wentian had completely opened up his mind and allowed Ning Lu to do whatever he wanted. It could be said that as long as Ning Lu left some soul force in Wu Wentian's mind, Wu Wentian's life would be completely under Ning Lu's control. Does Wu Wentian have some trump card? The surrounding martialists weren't the only ones who had this thought. Even Ning Lu had the same thought. After all, the battle prowess he had displayed wasn't much stronger than Wu Wentian's. Wu Wentian might have a 10% chance of winning if they fought head-on. Under such circumstances, Wu Wentian opening up his mind for him to control would naturally confuse him. However, despite his confusion, Ning Lu didn't stop moving. His figure moved again, and in a split second, a cold glint shot out from his head. Swoosh. In everyone's opinion, the cold glint that shot out from Ning Lu's head was his soul force. Hee. Wu Wentian didn't show any reaction on the surface when he saw Ning Lu splitting a wisp of soul force flying towards him. However, he was laughing sinisterly in his heart. Wu Wentian wasn't a fool. Although he knew that he had a 10% chance of winning if he fought head-on, he wouldn't take the risk. He knew a type of soul art that could use the opponent's soul force to control the opponent's body. Strictly speaking, the soul art that Wu Wentian knew had the same effect as the soul attraction technique that Ning Yu knew. However, the soul art that Wu Wentian knew was more powerful. Once executed, unless the opponent's strength far exceeded his, there was no way to break it. The reason why Wu Wentian had agreed to open up his mind and let Ning Lu's soul force control him was so that he could control Ning Lu. Swoosh. The cold glint that shot out from Ning Lu's head entered Wu Wentian's body in an instant. Counterattack! Wu Wentian immediately unleashed a soul art when he sensed the cold glint entering his body. Wu Wentian had just unleashed his soul technique when Ning Lu spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura plummeted. What? Wu Wentian does indeed have a trump card. I knew it. When Wu Wentian was in the higher planes, he was at the peak of human immortal stage. He was infinitely close to becoming an earthly immortal. How could he not have any trump cards? Ning Lu is still not smart enough. Wrong, it's not that Ning Lu isn't smart, it's that Wu Wentian is too cunning. Wu Wentian enjoyed listening to the discussions of the crowd. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He turned to Ning Yu and the others and said, "You guys are still too inexperienced to fight me. Wu Wentian, aren't you afraid of retribution for your actions?" Ning Yu sat cross-legged beside the Red Fiend and said solemnly, "As long as you let go of your mind now, I can let bygones be bygones." Ah! Upon hearing Ning Yu's words, Wu Wentian threw his head back and laughed maniacally. "Then," he said coldly, "you want me to relax my mind? You've lost your mind." "Humph! Refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit," Ning Yu snorted coldly. Then, he slammed his hands on the ground and his body flew into the air. Swoosh! Ning Yu's body drew a trace in midair and charged towards Wu Wentian at a terrifying speed. "Stop! Otherwise I'll kill Ning Lu." Looking at Ning Yu, who was flying towards him continuously, the corners of Wu Wentian's mouth curled up into an arc. The current Wu Wentian did not care about Ning Yu in the slightest. In his opinion, Ning Yu would not dare to really make a move against him. Because Ning Lu's life was in his hands. As long as he activated his soul art and activated Ning Lu's soul force in his body, Ning Yu would definitely hold back for fear of harming the innocent. "As you wish." Ning Yu suddenly stopped in midair. "Come here. Relax your mind and let me control you." Wu Wentian extended his right hand and pointed at Ning Yu. "I want to let you experience what it feels like to be controlled by someone else." "No problem." Ning Yu shrugged as though everything had nothing to do with him. Moving his feet, Ning Yu walked towards Wu Wentian. Could it be a trap? Wu Wentian felt that something was amiss when he saw that Ning Yu did not resist at all. That was how he promised Ning Lu back then. In the end, he used his soul art to control Ning Lu at the last moment. Judging from Ning Yu's current reaction, he couldn't be thinking of using his soul art to control him, right? The more he thought about it, the more Wu Wentian felt that it was possible. His expression turned cold as he said in a deep voice, "Stay where you are and let that martial artist come over." The person that Wu Wentian pointed at was not the human fiend, but the Red Fiend. That was because Wu Wentian knew that the relationship between the Red Fiend and Ning Yu was definitely better than that of the human fiend. After all, ever since he appeared, Ning Yu had been guarding the Red Fiend. Moreover, the Red Fiend's aura was also growing steadily. Although Wu Wentian was confident that he could still suppress the Red Fiend easily even if he advanced to the perfected Sage realm, it was always better to be in less danger. "All right." Ning Yu thought about it, then said, "Wait a moment, I'll go over and let the Red Fiend come over." After saying that, Ning Yu walked towards the Red Fiend step by step. "Stop right there. I mean you stay where you are and let him walk over by himself." Seeing that Ning Yu was moving, Wu Wentian shouted. However, no matter how Wu Wentian shouted, Ning Yu acted as if he didn't hear it and continued walking on his own. "If you dare to take another step forward, I'll kill Ning Lu." In desperation, Wu Wentian could only use Ning Lu as a bargaining chip to threaten Ning Yu. As expected, Ning Yu stopped again. However, this time, Ning Yu just turned his head and said faintly, "If you had threatened me like that just now, it might have been useful. But now I'm sorry, it's too late." After saying that, Ning Yu didn't care about Wu Wentian's reaction. Instead, he walked straight to the Red Fiend's side and sat down cross-legged. There were still about 10 minutes before the Red Fiend successfully devoured the primordial spirit of Venerable Kuyu. According to Ning Lu, he had already completed his task of delaying. In the next 10 minutes, he had to devote himself to recovering and protecting the Red Fiend. "I'm going to kill Ning Lu." Wu Wentian was furious. He clenched his fists and immediately used the soul technique, wanting to give Ning Lu a taste of pain. However, before he could use the soul technique, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His entire body was no longer under his control. How is this possible? The sudden change caused Wu Wentian's expression to change drastically as he exclaimed, "Nothing is impossible." Chapter 1914. It's not your soul force? Wu Wentian's eyes widened in disbelief. The reason why Wu Wentian had such an expression was because when Ning Lu's soul power had entered his body, he had checked it carefully. After confirming that it was Ning Lu's soul power that had entered his body, Wu Wentian used a soul technique. Moreover, what made Wu Wentian puzzled was that when he used the soul art, Ning Lu was indeed greatly affected. Logically speaking, unless Ning Lu's cultivation was much higher than his, it was absolutely impossible for him to break his soul technique. I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Ning Lu's figure flashed, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Wu Wentian. He stretched out his right hand and suddenly slapped Wu Wentian's head. Poochie! This palm of Ning Lu's was extremely heavy, directly causing Wu Wentian to spit out a large mouthful of dark red blood. Don't kill me. I'm willing to open my mind and let you control me. Seeing that Ning Lu was about to kill him, Wu Wentian revealed his fence-sitter nature again. He hurriedly said, Also, I can help you control these people and make them do your bidding. As he spoke, Wu Wentian pointed at the surrounding martial artists. Wu Wentian's action caused Ning Lu to stop attacking. He frowned and said, I'll give you 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, I hope you can control all of them. No problem, leave it to me. Wu Wentian patted his chest and immediately rushed out. He began to control the surrounding warriors. Ning Lu wouldn't allow Wu Wentian to do as he pleased. What he wanted was for the people at the scene to be safe and sound. In other words, they still had super strong combat strength. After all, the altars around Four Corner City still needed these people to activate. If Wu Wentian severely injured them, the consequences would be unimaginable. The facts proved that Ning Lu's worries were unnecessary. For a fence-sitter like Wu Wentian, the reason why he would fall with the wind was because there was no powerful force holding him in place. Now that Ning Lu had utilized a secret technique to control Wu Wentian's life was in Ning Lu's hands. Under such circumstances, in order to survive, Wu Wentian naturally wouldn't play any tricks. Wu Wentian was very efficient. From the moment he made his move to the moment he subdued the surrounding martial artists, a total of 2.5 minutes had passed. Very good. Now, all of you are responsible for activating the altars around Four Corner City. After activating the altars, all of you are to return here. Ning Lu continued to instruct. Ning Lu was very satisfied with Wu Wentian spending 2 minutes to control everyone. Even for him, controlling so many people in 2.5 minutes was still quite difficult. Voila! Upon hearing Ning Lu's instructions, Wu Wentian leaped up and flashed towards the altar in the west. Behind Wu Wentian, the group split into 3 groups and charged in 3 different directions. Ha ha! I advise you to stop your futile resistance. Seeing that Wu Wentian and the others were going to activate the altars, Qianye, who was trapped in the small formation, threw his head back and laughed. Even if they were lucky enough to activate 4 altars, it's impossible to activate the teleportation formation without enough energy. Noisy! Ning Lu's eyes turned cold. A cold glint shot out from his eyes and bombarded the small formation Qianye was in. Chi. Although Ning Lu's cold glint could not hurt Qianye in the small formation, it could slow down the speed at which he broke the formation. I can sense that in another 15 minutes, after 15 minutes, the restriction of the plane barrier on the high-level martial artists will hit rock bottom. While Ning Lu and Wu Wentian were entangled, the human devil had been paying attention to the changes in the celestial spirit realm's plane barrier. Originally, it would take 30 minutes for the plane barrier to completely loosen. But for some reason, the power of the high-level martial artists bombarding the plane barrier suddenly increased by a lot. The sudden increase in energy directly reduced the time needed for the plane barrier to loosen from 30 minutes to 20 minutes. Of the 20 minutes, 5 minutes had already been wasted. There were only 15 minutes left. In 15 minutes, they needed to activate the altars, evacuate the people in Four Corner City, and open the teleportation formation. The difficulty was extremely high. Earlier, when Ning Lu and Wu Wentian were fighting, he had already instructed Wu Patian and the others to evacuate the people in Four Corner City. Not surprisingly, the people in Four Corner City were most likely already gone. After all, in the face of survival, everything else could be put aside for the time being. I wonder when the Red Devil will complete his advancement. Ning Lu took a deep breath and looked at the Red Devil. Boom. However, before Ning Lu could finish the word advancement, a terrifying aura suddenly rushed out of the Red Devil's body and shot into the sky. My Red Devil! Feeling the aura rushing out of the Red Devil's body, Ning Lu could not help but curse even though he was prepared. In terms of aura alone, the aura displayed by the Red Devil was no weaker than his. Ning Lu knew that the Red Devil was the sword spirit of the Red Devil sword. The Red Devil sword was extremely mysterious, and could devour flying swords to advance. Now that the Red Devil sword had advanced to the Sage stage, as the sword spirit of the Red Devil sword, its strength must not be underestimated. Whoosh! The aura on the Red Devil's body disappeared in a flash, and quickly returned to normal. Seeing the Red Devil's current state, Ning Yu's face lit up. Sage perfected stage. After devouring the two halves of perfected Withered Domain's primordial spirit, the Red Devil had indeed advanced from the peak of the Sage stage to the Sage perfected stage. However, what surprised Ning Yu the most was not that the Red Devil had advanced to the Sage perfected stage, but that the Red Devil sword had advanced a little again. Perfected Withered Domain also had a sacred sword. The Red Devil devoured perfected Withered Domain's primordial spirit, while the Red Devil sword devoured perfected Withered Domain's sacred sword. The two of them devoured each other's primordial spirit without interfering with each other. If the Red Devil sword was considered a low-grade Sage stage before, then the current Red Devil sword had advanced to a true mid-grade Sage stage. Swoosh! In the next moment, the Red Devil sword left the Red Devil sword and arrived in front of Ning Yu. Ning Yu stretched out his right hand and suddenly grabbed the Red Devil sword. Boom! As soon as he held the Red Devil sword, Ning Yu felt a terrifying energy sweep through his body. At this moment, Ning Yu only felt one thing. When he used the Red Devil sword, he could even fight against a mid-stage human immortal. Ning Yu's current cultivation was at the peak of the Sage stage. Without the Red Devil sword, he could fight against an early-stage human immortal if he used all his other trump cards. However, once he used the Red Devil sword, his strength would increase exponentially and reach the mid-stage human immortal realm. Emo Qianya, do you really think that no one can break this small formation? Ning Yu held the mid-grade Sage stage Red Devil sword and walked toward Emo Qianya step by step. Chapter 1915. Destroying all techniques with a single strike? I'm afraid you've lost your mind. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Emo Qianya's lips curled into an arc. He said in a cold voice, although that trash, Dao Master Ku Yu, died in battle, the formation he left behind can easily withstand a strike from a mid-human immortal. You might not know this, but everyone in the Heavenly Fortune sect is proficient in alchemy, formations, and what? Emo Qianya's mouth was wide open and his face was filled with horror before he could finish his sentence. That was because Emo Qianya saw Ning Yu swing the Red Demon's sword high up in the air. Chi! A sword ray as thick as a person's waist separated from the Red Devil sword and charged at Emo Qianya at a terrifying speed. Moreover, the power of the sword ray far exceeded Emo Qianya's expectations. Crack! A crisp sound rang out, and Emo Qianya saw the small formation around him shatter. This is impossible! Emo Qianya exclaimed. He knew better than anyone else that perfected Master Ku Yu was very skilled in formations in the Heavenly Fortune sect. If perfected Master Ku Yu didn't die in battle, the small formation he left behind would be enough to withstand an attack from a peak human immortal. Even if perfected Master Ku Yu died in battle, the small formation he left behind would still be able to withstand an attack from a mid-stage human immortal. However, Ningyu, a warrior at the peak of the Sage Realm, had managed to cut open such a terrifying defensive formation with one strike. How could Mo Qianye not be shocked? Run! However, Mo Qianye hurriedly used a secret technique to tear open the void and flee into the distance the moment the small formation was broken. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will continue to flow. We will meet again. Mo Qianye didn't forget to look back at Ningyu as he fled. Do you think you can escape? Ningyu seemed to have anticipated that Mo Qianye would try to escape. He waved the red demon sword in his hand again, and in an instant, another 3 sword rays swept out. Swoosh! 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 The 3 sword rays were extremely fast. Their target was Mo Qianye, who was hiding in the void. Rumble! The 3 sword beams drilled into the void together. In an instant, the void was torn apart, and countless yuan qi collapsed. Poochie! Then, a figure fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. Mo Qianye spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. At this moment, Mo Qianye's aura had fallen to the freezing point. Mo Qianye's aura was already extremely weak after being trapped in the small formation. Now, he was struck by the 3 cold beams from Ningyu, causing him to fall into an extremely weak state. You forced me to do this. Mo Qianye clenched his fists and produced a jade bottle. It could be seen that the jade bottle contained a few blue elixirs. Mo Qianye didn't care about the consequences and simply threw the bottle into his mouth. Ka ka ka. The moment the jade bottle entered his stomach, Mo Qianye chewed continuously and swallowed it before long. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Mo Qianye's aura returned to its peak state. Moreover, Mo Qianye's aura didn't stop because of this. On the contrary, it continued to rise. Kill! How could Ningyu allow Mo Qianye's aura to continue rising? When Mo Qianye's aura reached the intermediate human immortal stage, Ningyu charged out with the red demon sword in hand. For Ningyu, Mo Qianye's intermediate human immortal stage cultivation was enough. The altar has been activated. As soon as Ningyu and Mo Qianye clashed, Wu Wentian led the crowd back from the altars around Four Corner City. The crowd has been evacuated. Apart from Wu Wentian's group, Wu Patian, War Divine Crane, and the others had also arrived in this area. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As for Meng Chang'an, the Dark Emperor, and Lu Wei, they followed closely behind and landed beside Ning Lu. This is a trap. The sudden change caused Mo Qianye's expression to darken to the extreme. In fact, when he was swallowing the elixirs, Ningyu had the opportunity to attack him, but he didn't. At that time, he thought that Ningyu had made a fatal mistake. Now it seemed that it was wishful thinking on his part. The altar was opened and the crowd was evacuated. Ningyu's ambition could be seen at a glance. He said that it would be difficult to activate the teleportation array with the strength of Ningyu and the others because it required a huge amount of energy. He didn't expect that Ningyu would use what he had learned and use him as a sacrifice to activate the teleportation array. You want to scheme against me? Let's see if you have the ability. After figuring out the reason, Mo Qianye took a deep breath, and the yuan qi in his body surged. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched at Ningyu's head. Under normal circumstances, Ningyu would definitely not be Mo Qianye's match. After all, Mo Qianye came from a higher plane and had a cultivation of intermediate human immortal stage. However, Ningyu had the red demon sword, a sage mid-grade red demon sword. One had to know that the sacred swords used by perfected withered domain and perfected Hanying were only low-grade sage sword. The power of a sage low-grade flying sword was already so terrifying. One could imagine how powerful a sage mid-grade flying sword would be. Although Ningyu couldn't kill Mo Qianye with the red demon sword, it wasn't too difficult for him to contend with Mo Qianye. Everyone, let's work harder and make the teleportation array appear as soon as possible. Human Demon knew that time was limited. Not to mention how long Ningyu could resist Mo Qianye, Just the fact that the enemies from the higher planes had already noticed him was enough to make him nervous. Under such circumstances, he could only pray that the teleportation array would appear as soon as possible and then use Emotienya to activate it. Rumble. Under Human Demon's command, Wu Wentian, Wu Patian, War Divine Crane, and the others exerted their full strength and bombarded the ground. As they continued to bombard the ground, the city suddenly caved in. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. At this moment, a huge pillar of light suddenly shot out from the sacrificial altars around Four Corner City. 4 sacrificial altars and 4 pillars of light converged at the center of Four Corner City. Rumble. The speed at which Four Corner City was collapsing was already very fast. With the addition of the 4 pillars of light, the entire city collapsed. Shortly after, the transportation array beneath the Four Corner City was completely revealed. This, Wu Wentian and the others opened their mouths slightly when they saw the teleportation array that shot out from under Four Corner City. Was this a teleportation array? To be precise, it was a huge cauldron that shot out from under Four Corner City. It was obvious that this cauldron was an alchemy cauldron. This cauldron, looking at the cauldron that flew out from under the ground, Ningyu, who was fighting fiercely with Emotienya in midair, narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, "Its quality far exceeds my heavenly fire cauldron. If I'm not wrong, it should be a cauldron from a higher plane and ranked on the immortal ranking of cauldrons. Immortal spirit realm and demon spirit realm cauldrons from these lower planes could only be ranked on the immortal ranking of cauldrons. But the cauldrons from the higher planes could be ranked on the immortal ranking of cauldrons." Chapter 1916. This is the Five Fingers Cauldron. Ningyu wasn't the only one who was shocked to see the cauldron emerging from the ground of Square City. Emotienya was extremely shocked as well. Emotienya was a martial artist who descended from a high-level plane, so he had some understanding of the cauldron immortal ranking. There was a rumor in the high-level plane that a long time ago, the Five Fingers Immortal disappeared with the Five Fingers Cauldron. Later, someone spread the news that the Five Fingers Immortal had brought the Five Fingers Cauldron to the Immortal Spirit region in search of a great opportunity. When Emotienya first heard the news, he snorted disdainfully and thought that it was impossible. After all, the Five Fingers Immortal was not an Earth Immortal, but a genuine Heaven Immortal. In a high-level plane, an Earth Immortal was the overlord of a region. A Heaven Immortal, on the other hand, was the ruler of many cities and millions of races. The territory of the Transformation God sect was ruled by a Heaven Immortal. The strongest expert in the deity transformation sect was only at the late stage of the Earth Immortal realm. There was still a long way to go before he reached the peak of the Earth Immortal realm, let alone the Celestial Immortal, who was higher than the Earth Immortal realm. The Five Fingers Cauldron is here. Could it be that the Five Fingers Immortal was killed? Emotienya suddenly thought of something and asked in surprise. Many people in the high-level plane knew that the Five Fingers Immortal was proud of the Five Fingers Cauldron. To the Five Fingers Immortal, the cauldron was more important than his own life. How could Emotienya not be surprised that the Five-Fingered Cauldron was here and the Five-Fingered Immortal was nowhere to be found? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. While Emotienya was pondering, several terrifying suction forces suddenly emerged from the Five Fingers Cauldron. These terrifying suction forces seemed to have eyes of their own. In an instant they reached Wu Wentian and the others. Puff, puff, puff. In just a few seconds, the martial artists behind Wu Wentian were sucked dry. What the hell is this? As for Wu Wentian, due to his own strength and the fact that he had a trump card, he was not immediately sucked dry. However, judging from Wu Wentian's condition, it was only a matter of time before he was sucked dry. Everyone gathered together. At this time, Ningyu no longer cared about fighting Emotienya. He slashed open the suction force in front of him and flew toward the human devil. On the other hand, Wu Patian, battle god Crane, and the others executed their secret arts to repel the suction and landed beside the human demon. Everyone, send out all your yuan qi and form a protective barrier around your body. Ning Yu made a prompt decision and channeled all the essence qi in his body out, forming a protective essence qi barrier around his body. The human demon, Ning Lu, and the others followed suit. A yuan qi protective barrier set up by one person might be very weak. However, if it was set up by 2 or 3 people, its power would naturally be much greater. Under the concerted efforts of Ning Yu and the others, the suction force from the 5-fingered pill furnace actually stopped in midair for a moment, unable to move an inch forward. "Let me in." Seeing that Ning Yu's method was effective, Wu Wentian shouted on the spot. Previously, Wu Wentian was worried that Ning Yu's method would not work, so he had been struggling alone. Now that he saw that Ning Yu's method was effective, he naturally wanted to take refuge in it. How troublesome! Ning Yu did not want to help Wu Wentian at first, but considering that Wu Wentian's strength was not weak, if the planar barrier was loosened, he would at least have the battle strength of a late-stage human immortal. Therefore, he made an exception and opened the yuan qi barrier to let Wu Wentian in. Thank you, thank you." After entering the yuan qi barrier, Wu Wentian hurriedly cupped his hands toward Ning Yu and thanked him. Even now, Wu Wentian still felt a little scared. But at the same time, Wu Wentian felt a little lucky. Fortunately, he had sided with Ning Lu and not Emo Qinye. Otherwise, the suction from the 5-fingered pill furnace would have definitely sucked him dry. On the other side, the yuan qi barrier around Emo Qinye's body was already showing signs of cracking. Crack, crack, crack. Crisp sounds lingered in the ears. If this continued, it would not be long before Emo Qinye was sucked dry. "Save me." After another 3 minutes, Emo Qinye had no choice but to beg Ning Yu and the others for help. "As long as you save me, I am willing to open my mind and let you control me." "Now you want to let us control you?" Ning Yu looked coldly at Emo Qinye and said in an awe-inspiring tone, "If you had surrendered before, perhaps I might have considered it. But now you can go to hell. You can't do this to me." Emo Qinye shouted, "I am an earth immortal. In another 7 minutes, the planar barrier will be loosened, and once it is loosened, I will be able to exert the battle strength of an early-stage earth immortal. At that time, I will be able to resist the terrifying suction from the 5-fingered pill furnace by myself." Terrifying suction. You'd better save your strength. Obviously, Ning Yu did not care about Emo Qinye's plea for mercy. People like Emo Qinye were actually more opportunistic than Wu Wentian. Emo Qinye was originally the vice-sect leader of a high-level plane, the Transformation Sect. He gave up his position and came to the Immortal Spirit region a long time ago, which showed that he was very patient. Ning Yu did not want to save an ingrate. Moreover, controlling Emo Qinye was much more difficult than controlling Wu Wentian. "You can't give up on me." Emo Qinye did not want to give up. He was still shouting, "In 7 minutes, the planar barrier will be loosened, and then many experts will descend from the high-level planes. I won't hide anything. They will descend right here in Four Corner City." Seeing that Ning Yu was unmoved, Emo Qinye pointed at the 5-fingered pill furnace and continued. "This pill furnace is called the 5-fingered pill furnace. It is the pill furnace of the 5-fingered immortal. In a high-level plane, the 5-fingered immortal was a terrifying expert who ruled over a territory. If I'm not mistaken, among the experts that descend from the high-level planes this time, there must be a disciple of the 5-fingered immortal. The 5-fingered immortal has a total of 5 disciples. The lowest cultivation level is at the mid-stage of the Earth Immortal, and the highest is at the peak of the Earth Immortal. There are even rumors that the cultivation of the 5-fingered immortal's eldest disciple is infinitely close to the Heaven Immortal level." Emo Qinye was like a beeping machine. Even though Ning Yu did not answer him, he still kept talking. This was because Mo Qianye knew very well that if Ningyu did not help him, he would die without a doubt. Even if he had some trump cards, it would be of no use. The trump cards he had were aimed at the origin energy, not the terrifying suction force. Moreover, the five-fingered immortal was a heaven immortal expert. How could the power of the pill furnace he used be weak? "Do you really want us to save you?" Mo Qianye continued to blabber for another 3 minutes. When he was about to collapse, Ningyu finally asked. Upon hearing Ningyu's words, Mo Qianye felt as if he had heard the sound of nature. He hurriedly said, "Yes, as long as you are willing to save me, I can open my mind and let you control me." Chapter 1917. Wu Wentian's expression was unsightly. He very much wanted to taunt Mo Qianye, but he was afraid that Ningyu would really help Mo Qianye. Therefore, he could only keep his face ashen. "Open your mind and let me control you." Ningyu thought for a moment, then said, "I must first control you, then I will let you in." "Okay." Mo Qianye replied almost without hesitation. With that, Mo Qianye immediately opened his mind, leaving only a bit of yuan qi to bitterly resist the terrifying suction from the cauldron. Crack, 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 crack. After Mo Qianye opened his mind, the terrifying suction from the cauldron instantly gained the upper hand. In this kind of situation, every second of delay would greatly threaten Mo Qianye's life. Ning Lu, senior human demon. Ningyu wasn't stupid enough to release his soul force to control Mo Qianye. He asked Ning Lu and human demon spiritually, "If the three of us work together, how confident are we in controlling Mo Qianye?" "Absolutely impossible." Ning Lu and human demon answered at the same time. Mo Qianye was a wily old fox, far more so than Wu Wentian. The same method could fool Wu Wentian, but it wouldn't work on Mo Qianye. "I understand." Hearing Ning Lu and human demon's words, Ningyu nodded lightly. Then, a wisp of soul force swept out of his body and flew straight toward Mo Qianye. "Mo Qianye, I hope you won't play any tricks." After the soul force flew out, Ningyu stared at Mo Qianye and said in a low voice, "Since I dared to send my soul force into your body, I'm confident I can subdue you. I definitely won't play any trick." Mo Qianye hurriedly expressed his loyalty. Crack, crack. Just as Mo Qianye was expressing his loyalty, the yuan qi barrier around his body emitted another crisp sound. At this rate, it would only take 10 seconds at most for Mo Qianye's yuan qi barrier to be broken. At that time, if Mo Qianye couldn't find a place of refuge, he would surely be in grave danger. Mo Qianye seemed to have given up resisting. Ningyu's soul power didn't encounter any obstruction and smoothly entered Mo Qianye's body. "Is there really no problem?" Ningyu controlled his soul power to search Mo Qianye's body for a while, but didn't find anything wrong. He was a little puzzled. However, Ningyu still chose to believe in Ning Lu and human demon. He waved his hand at Mo Qianye and said, "Come here quickly. I'll break the energy barrier as soon as you come to my side." "Alright." Mo Qianye responded, then his figure flashed and charged straight at Ningyu. Gotcha! Just as Mo Qianye rushed out, the yuan qi barrier around him suddenly shattered. A terrifying suction force followed Mo Qianye like a shadow. He couldn't get rid of it no matter how hard he tried. Quickly open the yuan qi protective barrier. In just 3 seconds, Mo Qianye arrived in front of Ning Yu and the others and shouted at the same time. Mo Qianye was very anxious. He could only hold on for 10 seconds, and 3 seconds had already passed. If he couldn't enter the yuan qi protective barrier within 7 seconds, he would have to use a big move in advance. "As you wish." Ningyu first signaled the people around him with his eyes, took a few steps back, and then opened the yuan qi protective barrier. Swoosh! The moment Ningyu opened the yuan qi protective barrier, Mo Qianye instantly rushed in. Phew! As soon as he rushed in, Mo Qianye let out a long sigh of relief. his brows revealing an excited expression. Ha ha ha! Emochienya was so excited that he threw his head back and laughed. After laughing, Emochienya narrowed his eyes and stared at Ningyu. Thank you for your Yuan Qi protective barrier. Now let me control it. The next moment, Emochienya flicked his sleeve and a black bead suddenly flew out. Chi-chi! An extremely terrifying devouring power suddenly erupted from the black bead. Relatively speaking, although the devouring power within the black bead was slightly weaker than the suction from the five-fingered pill cauldron, it wasn't much weaker. At the very least, under the devouring power of the black bead, the surrounding Yuan Qi rushed toward him with it as the center. Attack! Ningyu wouldn't choose to sit still and wait for death. He signaled Ning Lu and Human Demon with his eyes, then immediately grasped the red demon sword, and was the first to rush forward. Swish! Swish! Ning Lu and Human Demon followed closely behind. Their target wasn't Emochienya, but the black bead. Ningyu clearly knew that he couldn't control Emochienya, but he still insisted that Emochienya enter the Yuan Qi protective barrier in order to seize Emochenya's trump card. After all, Emochienya came from a higher plane, and it was impossible that he didn't have any trump cards. As expected, Ningyu's gamble was correct. The black bead that Emochienya took out had a very strong devouring power, and Ningyu faintly sensed a familiar aura from it. Power of origin! That's right. The black bead definitely contained power of origin. You want to seize my origin bead? Emochienya didn't take Ningyu and Human Demon's charge to heart at all. The corner of his mouth even curled up, and he pointed at the five-fingered pill cauldron. You'd better pray for yourselves. You're the one who should pray for yourselves. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he suddenly slashed with the red demon sword. Heaven imprisoning fist. Dark gold branch. Ning Lu and Human Demon both used their trump card. Under the three terrifying attacks, the black bead actually shook a little. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Emochienya snorted coldly, then said, I'll move your Yuan Qi protective barrier to my side and expose you to the five-fingered pill cauldron. However, Emochienya had only spoken halfway when he felt a sweetness in his throat, and dark red blood sprayed out. How is this possible? Emochenya's expression changed drastically. He never would have thought that Ningyu would move the Yuan Qi protective barrier one step ahead of him. In other words, he was the first to bear the brunt of the attack, replacing Ningyu's group to block the cauldron's attack. Block it for me. In the face of extreme danger, Emochienya could only take out a pill from his chest pocket and toss it into his mouth. As soon as the pill entered his mouth, Emochenya's aura instantly recovered to its peak state. However, even if Emochienya recovered to his peak state, it wouldn't help. Because only one of the suction forces had attacked him before, now all of them were focused on him. Blocking the entire cauldron with his own strength? Obviously, Emochienya couldn't do it. Come here. While Emochienya was struggling to resist the numerous suction forces, Ningyu's right hand grabbed at the void and instantly grabbed the black bead. Immediately afterward, Ningyu, Ninglu, Human Demon, and even the Red Demon and Wu Potions group all helped remove the imprints from the black bead. Chapter 1918. It really is the power of origin. After erasing the mark left by Emochienya in the black bead, Ningyu immediately sent his soul power into the bead to explore. As soon as his soul power entered the black bead, Ningyu's face lit up with joy. This was because he sensed the aura of the power of origin in the black bead. Although the power of origin in the black bead was not much and could even be described as very little, what made Ningyu excited was not the amount of power of origin in the black bead, but the black bead itself. To be precise, the black bead had an extremely terrifying suction force on the power of origin. If there were two containers containing the power of origin, one container would be the black bead and the other a special jade bottle. There was no doubt that as long as the special jade bottle was near the black bead, the power of origin in it would be absorbed by the black bead. It really is a good treasure. Ningyu accepted the black bead, indicating that his effort this time was not in vain. He had spent a lot of time and effort scheming against Emochinya. If he did not get the black bead, he would probably cry to death. As soon as Ningyu put away the black bead, Emochinya, who was not far away, spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura dropped again. Ningyu, you will die a horrible death. Emochinya knew that even if he begged Ningyu again, Ningyu would not help him. His fate was already decided. Therefore, in desperation, he could only roar at Ningyu. I just got the news that the divine son of our transformation sect has come to the celestial spirit realm. You will die a miserable death in front of the divine son of our transformation sect. Even a deputy sect master like you is only at the intermediate stage of the earth immortal realm. I guess that divine son is at most a human immortal. I can easily kill a human immortal realm divine son. Hearing Emochinya's words, Ningyu shrugged and said faintly, Don't worry. When I get the power of origin in the celestial spirit realm, I will immediately go to a higher plane. The first thing I will do after going there is to eradicate the transformation sect. Ah, you're overestimating yourself. You'll never know how powerful the godchild of the God transformation sect is. To tell you the truth, the godchild of our God transformation sect has been sealed with a special substance for 10,000 years. When he comes out of seclusion, Emochinya threw his head back and laughed wildly. Just as he was about to introduce Ningyu to the divine son of the God transformation sect, his defense was broken through by a terrifying suction force. He spat out a mouthful of dark red blood on the spot, and his entire body immediately shriveled up. Under the terrifying suction force from the five-fingered cauldron, Emochinya was only able to resist for a few minutes before he was sucked dry. Gotcha! Emochinya had just been sucked dry. Before Ningyu and the others could react, a clear voice rang in their ears. Following this, the rift exploded as a few figures appeared from it. Buzz. The target of Ningyu's group wasn't the expert that appeared out of thin air, but the human devil and Wu Wentian. Wu Wentian and the human devil were both from higher planes. Now that the plane barrier had been loosened, their strength had instantly increased. Among them, Wu Wentian had directly soared from the peak of the Sage realm to the late stage of the human immortal realm. He was only a step away from the peak of the human immortal realm. It was obvious that Wu Wentian would definitely recover to the peak of the human immortal realm once the last bit of the plane barrier was broken. Boom! Comparatively speaking, the aura emitted by the human devil was a little terrifying. Mid-stage Earth immortal realm. The aura of the human devil had now reached the mid-stage Earth immortal realm. You're really here. A loud shout soon attracted the attention of Ningyu and the others. Looking towards the source of the voice, they saw a group of 4 martial artists floating around them. Late-stage Earth immortal realm. Sensing the terrifying aura emitted by these 4 martial artists, Ningyu's heart sank to the bottom. Although the human devil had recovered to the mid-stage Earth immortal realm, the 4 people chasing after them were all at the late-stage Earth immortal realm. How could they fight such a lineup? I thought some expert would descend. Who would have thought that it's just a few small shrimp? Although he was shocked, the human devil still looked very calm on the surface. You should know very well that I can even kill a heaven immortal, let alone late-stage Earth immortal realm martial artists like you. You can indeed kill a heaven immortal, but that's in a high-level plane, and that's when you're at your peak. An old man with a hooked nose and dressed in gray robes who looked to be in his 60s or 70s said sinisterly, "This is the immortal spirit realm, and you've been severely injured in the past, causing your strength to drop a lot. The 4 of us are enough to deal with you. Why are you wasting time with him? Let's attack together." That's right. Let's get rid of the human devil first, then take the five-finger immortals' five-finger cauldron. Finally, we'll head to the Thousand Demons Ridge to fight for the origin energy. With the strength of the four of us, as long as we work together, it shouldn't be difficult for us to dominate the immortal realm. As soon as the hooked-nosed old man finished speaking, the remaining three martial artists started discussing among themselves. Their thoughts were strangely in sync. First kill the human devil, then take the five-finger pill cauldron, and finally go to the Thousand Demons Ridge to steal the source energy. The idea was good, but it was a little difficult to put it into practice. The hooked-nosed old man looked at the five-finger pill cauldron, then at the human devil and the rest. Two of you kill the human devil, and the other two take the five-finger pill cauldron. Swoosh, swoosh. The hooked-nosed old man did not hesitate. He immediately dashed out with a bald man beside him, rushing towards the demonic humans. Swoosh, swoosh. As for the other two martial artists, they all rushed towards the five-finger pill cauldron. I'll block them, you guys go first. Looking at the hooked-nosed old man and the bald man rushing towards him, the human devil took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Remember, don't think about avenging me in the future." The human devil had already made up his mind to die. He was indeed seriously injured. Although the energy seal in his body had been removed, there were still a few other injuries. Otherwise, he definitely would not have escaped to the immortal realm. When he was in the higher planes, he fought against the celestial immortals of several territories by himself. In the end, he killed one celestial immortal and severely injured three others. Then, with his body covered in wounds, he used a secret technique to escape to the celestial spirit realm. The strength of a celestial immortal was unfathomable. The human devil admitted that Ningyu was very talented, but throughout history, there had been many talented martial artists. Only 1 in 10,000 could cultivate to the celestial immortal realm, or even 1 in 100,000, or even 1 in a million. As for what cultivation level Ningyu could reach, the human devil did not know. But the human devil knew that he could not allow Ningyu to avenge him. Let them go first? The hooked-nosed old man's lips curled up and he laughed. I think you've lost your mind. Under the encirclement of the two of us, none of you will leave today. All of you will die. Chapter 1919. If you dare touch a hair on them, I'll drag a few of you down with me even if I have to die. The human demon's face was extremely gloomy. He clenched his fists and fought against the suction from the cauldron. Rumble. The moment they clashed, the human demon was at a disadvantage. After all, the human demon was only a mid-earth immortal. Moreover, he was fighting against the suction from the cauldron while fighting against the old man and the others. Under such circumstances, it was already very good that the human demon wasn't killed in a short period of time. Why didn't the suction from the cauldron attack the old man and the others? Wu Patian frowned in confusion when he saw the human demon in such a difficult situation. That was because the suction force from the five-fingered cauldron was only attacking them, not the hook-nosed elder and the others. Is there a limit to the suction from the cauldron? Since Wu Patian noticed this, Ningyu naturally noticed it as well. With a thought, Ningyu shifted his gaze to the cauldron. He felt that something was amiss. At this time, the cauldron was shaking under the attacks of the other two late-earth immortal experts. Moreover, Ningyu noticed that the cauldron was only passively defending. It didn't have the slightest initiative. Pucci. While Ningyu was still puzzled, the outcome of the battle had already been decided. Under the combined attacks of the old man and the bald man, the human demon finally couldn't hold on any longer and was sent flying. Ha ha, I didn't expect the formidable human demon to die in my hands. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. The hook-nosed old man punched the human devil in the chest, sending him flying. At the same time, the old man threw his head back and laughed maniacally before chasing after the human demon. Indeed, the human demon had killed a heavenly immortal before. If he killed the human demon now, he would have the right to brag about it. Wang. However, before the old man could catch up to the human demon, the cauldron on the other side shot out another terrifying suction. Compared to the previous suction force, this terrifying suction force was many times stronger. Not good. Sensing this terrifying suction force, Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. He could sense that the target of the suction force was not the hook-nosed old man and the others, but him, Ning Lu, and the others. Damn it! Ning Yu was about to cry. When it rains, it pours. Originally, it was very difficult for them to resist the attacks of the hook-nosed old man. Now that they were being attacked by the 5 pill furnaces, they were instantly at an absolute disadvantage. The heavens are helping me. The sudden change clearly caused the hook-nosed elder to be a little stunned. But soon, the hook-nosed old man was pleasantly surprised. Just now, he thought that the 5-finger pill furnace would attack him. Who would have thought that it was a false alarm? Originally, he had the upper hand in his battle with the human devil. Now, with the help of the 5-finger pill furnace, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. Today is the day you die. The aquiline-nosed old man was in high spirits. He was very awe-inspiring. But what happened next made the hook-nosed old man feel like he ate shit. The suction force that shot out from the 5-finger pill furnace this time seemed to be a little different. The suction force from before had horrifying destructive power and could suck people dry. But the suction force this time was just pure suction force, which was to say that the suction force this time was not threatening at all. If it was just the suction force without any threat, the hook-nosed old man would not have this kind of expression. The most crucial thing was that the suction force actually wrapped Ning Yu and the human devil and the rest, sucking them into the 5-finger pill furnace right in front of him. Swoosh. Furthermore, after the 5-finger pill furnace sucked Ning Yu and the rest into its body, it immediately tore through the void and tunneled inside. Hurry up and stop it! The hook-nosed old man's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly roared. At this time, the hook-nosed old man's expression was very ugly. To him, the human devil's escape was like a cooked duck flying. Just as he was about to kill the human devil, he did not expect this kind of thing to happen. The hook-nosed old man clenched both hands into fists. All of the energy in his body gathered on his wrist. With a backhand, he punched out twice. Boom, boom, boom. Apart from the hook-nosed old man, the other 3 martial artists, including the bald man, also punched out. Several fist auras gathered together and suddenly blasted into the void where the 5-finger pill furnace was escaping. Whoosh! In the void inside the 5-finger pill furnace, everyone looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. The 5-finger pill furnace helped them? This result was indeed out of their expectations. Gulp. Swallowing hard, Ning Lu was the first to speak. This is the inside of the 5-finger pill furnace. Ning Yu, you are an alchemist and your soul power has reached the monarch stage. How do you think we should leave? After Ning Yu had devoured Gong Yangqing's soul power, the strength of his soul had broken through the limit and reached a height he had not reached in his previous life. In the entire 5-finger pill furnace, Ning Yu's soul power was the strongest. Therefore, apart from Ning Lu, everyone else looked at Ning Yu. There's no way for now. Under everyone's gaze, Ning Yu shook his head and said in a low voice, "This 5-finger pill furnace is the path to immortality. With the strength of my soul power, there's no way I can control it." Are we just going to sit here and wait for death? Wu Patian asked. The 5 Fingers Cauldron belongs to the 5 Fingers Immortal, and the 5 Fingers Immortal is a Heaven Immortal expert. Unless we advance to the Heaven Immortal realm, we won't be able to leave. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said, "Whoosh." Ning Yu's words spread in everyone's minds like a plague. What was the difference between being trapped in the 5-finger pill furnace and being unable to leave? Although the space inside the five-finger pill furnace was relatively large, no one would be able to stand being trapped for a long time. If I'm not wrong, the five-finger pill furnace's destination should be the Myriad Demon's Ridge. The human demon, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. The transportation formation under Four Corner City is actually the five-finger pill furnace. Will the five-finger pill furnace let us out when we reach the Myriad Demon's Ridge? Wu Patian asked doubtfully. I'm not sure if it will let us out, but there's one thing I'm sure of. The human demon's expression turned solemn. The five-finger immortal's disciples should be waiting for us in the Myriad Demon's Ridge. What the F***ck? Wu Patian and the others immediately cursed. According to Mo Qianye, the five-finger immortal had a total of 5 disciples. The weakest disciple was a mid-stage earth immortal, and the strongest disciple was infinitely close to becoming a sky immortal. If all 5 of the five-finger pill furnace's disciples were here, it would be much more formidable than the hook-nosed old man's group. No matter how fast the five-finger pill furnace is, it will still take a long time to reach the Myriad Demon's Ridge from Four Corner City. Chapter 1920. The deepest part of the Five Fingers Cauldron? Hearing the human demon's words, Wu Patian and the others looked around with doubtful expressions. They could see the entire space of the Five Fingers Cauldron with a single glance. Although it was slightly bigger than an ordinary cauldron, it was only slightly bigger. They could reach the deepest part of the cauldron with a single leap. Now that the human demon said that he wanted to enter the deepest part of the Five Fingers Cauldron with Ning Yu and the others, how could Wu Patian and the others not be shocked? Whoosh 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 whoosh. However, Ning Yu and the others did not care whether Wu Patian and the others were shocked or not. The 4 of them immediately leapt into the air and charged toward the interior of the Five Fingers Cauldron at a terrifying speed. The Five Fingers Cauldron was ranked on the immortal ranking of cauldrons, thus the space inside it would not be so small. The reason why Wu Patian and the others thought the Five Fingers Cauldron was because their cultivation was too weak to see through the barrier left behind by the Five Fingers Celestial. The Five Fingers Celestial was a heaven immortal. How could anyone see through the barrier he left behind? If it weren't for the fact that the barrier had been set up for a long time, causing cracks to appear on it, Ning Yu and the others would not have discovered it. Crack! Under the astonished gazes of Wu Patian and the others, Ning Yu and the others rammed into an invisible barrier, causing a gap to appear on the barrier. Wu Patian and the others forcefully entered the barrier. Buzz buzz. As soon as Ning Yu and the others entered the barrier healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. It did not take long for the barrier to heal completely. Gasp! This situation caused Wu Patian and the rest to suck in a cold breath of air. At this moment, they felt a little fortunate that Ning Yu and the demonic humans were the ones who entered the cauldron. Otherwise, they would definitely be trapped here with just 2 celestial spirit stage natives. Now that Ning Yu and the others had broken through the barrier and entered the deeper part of the Five Fingers Cauldron, they finally had a chance to survive. Watch out! At the same time, Ning Yu and the human demon who had just broken through the barrier encountered a huge problem. Originally, after they broke through the barrier, their speed was not considered too fast. Almost every step they took, they would stop to observe their surroundings. However, just 5 seconds later, Ning Yu and the others ran into big trouble. A giant puppet suddenly appeared in front of them. This puppet was 3 to 4 times the size of a normal person, and the aura it emitted was terrifying. Mid-Earth Immortal Stage. Ning Yu and the rest knew very well how difficult it was to deal with an intermediate earthly immortal puppet. Under the same circumstances, with the combination of Ning Yu and the other 3, with the human devil taking the vanguard and the other 3 suppressing the rear, they could easily kill an intermediate Earth immortal expert. After all, the human demon was a mid-Earth immortal. But now that he was facing a mid-earthly immortal stage puppet, the situation was completely different. There were two ways to deal with puppets. The first was to find its control center and make it his own. Second, use a powerful force to blast it into pieces. These two methods were obviously not practical for Ning Yu and the rest. Their goal was to explore and find a way to break through the Five Fingers Cauldron, not to fight an intermediate Earth immortal puppet. I'll hold this puppet back. You guys continue forward. Looking at the puppet that was emitting a terrifying aura, Hong Mo took a deep breath and said, "Since the Five-Fingered Immortal left a puppet here to watch over the cauldron, it means that there must be some sort of secret deep within the cauldron. We cannot afford to waste any more time here. Otherwise, the moment the Five-Fingered Immortal leaves, the Five-Fingered Pill Cauldron will be destroyed. Otherwise, if the Five Fingers Cauldron flies to the Myriad Demon Ridge, we'll all die. I'll stay. You're not a match for the puppet. This puppet might be difficult to deal with, but I have a way to trap it." Human Demon took a step forward and said, "All right, Senior Human Demon will stay. The three of us will continue forward." Ning Yu was not an indecisive person. Although Hong Mo had advanced to the Great Circle Sage stage and his overall strength could fight against an early human immortal, the puppet in front of him was a mid-earth immortal. Among the four of them, only Human Demon could stay and fight the puppet head-on. Swoosh. Seeing Ning Yu's decisiveness, Human Demon nodded his head in relief. He leaped up and started fighting with the giant puppet. "Let's go." Seeing that Human Demon was holding back the giant puppet, Ning Yu moved without hesitation and continued to rush into the depths of the Five Fingers Cauldron. Swoosh. Swoosh. Hong Mo and Ning Lu followed closely behind Ning Yu, forming a triangle with Ning Yu. What puzzled Ning Yu was that he did not encounter any danger in the next half an hour after he left the giant puppet. Moreover, as they went deeper into the cauldron, the density of the surrounding essence chi became more and more terrifying. In the end, Ning Yu felt like he was immersed in an ocean of essence chi. If I cultivate here, it won't take long for me to advance to the Great Circle Sage stage. Ning Yu's face became extremely solemn. Right now, his cultivation was at the peak of the Sage realm. Although his overall strength was comparable to a human immortal intermediate stage martial artist, with the weakening of the plane barrier, the enemies that they were going to face next were basically from a higher plane and were extremely powerful. Under such circumstances, he urgently needed to improve his strength. He could feel that as long as he improved his cultivation to the Great Circle Sage stage, his strength would increase exponentially. "Let's go." Ning Yu took a deep breath and exhaled. Then, he stomped his feet on the ground and dashed forward again. Ning Yu knew better than anyone that Human Demon was fighting against the giant puppet, and the safety of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei depended on him. At other times, he might stay and cultivate, but now was a critical time. He could only continue to go deeper into the Five Fingers Cauldron and look for opportunities to leave it. Swoosh. 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 Since Ning Yu had left, Hong Mo and Ning Lu naturally would not stay behind. They continued to move forward. Swoosh. However, they had only taken a few steps when they stopped in unison. Looking at the scene in front of them, even though Ning Yu and Ning Lu had seen a lot, they could not help but gasp. Terrifying. Extremely terrifying. Extremely, extremely terrifying. It would not be an exaggeration to describe the scene in front of them as purgatory on earth. The entire area was filled with eerie white bones. Above the pile of bones was a circular altar. On the altar, there was a golden box that was emitting five-colored light. What a powerful medicinal effect! Although the golden box was very sealed, the terrifying medicinal effect that was emitted from the golden box could not be hidden from Ning Yu and the others. The elixirs inside are at least peak royal level. Ning Yu's pupils constricted as he said in a deep voice. Above the royal level elixirs were sacred level elixirs. Ning Yu's current soul strength was at grade 1 royal level. Strictly speaking, he could only refine royal-level elixirs. To refine royal-level elixirs, he had to be at least a grade 10 royal-level alchemist or a sacred-level alchemist. Chapter 1921. At this thought, Ning Yu's expression became extremely solemn. Although he wasn't someone from a higher plane, and his cultivation was only at the heavenly supreme realm in his previous life, he had devoured many experts from the higher planes. From their memories, he understood some information about the higher planes. A heaven immortal from a high-level cultivation plane was an overlord who could dominate a large territory and summon clouds and rain with a flip of his hand. Even such a terrifying celestial immortal had to greet a true saint-grade pill refiner with the utmost respect. It could be said that in a high-level cultivation plane, every sage-grade alchemist had a very respectable status. He was not a heaven immortal, but he surpassed one. How could Ning Yu not be shocked when the five-fingered immortal was a sky immortal to begin with, and it was highly possible that he was a sage-grade alchemist? How could such a terrifying person not have left a backup plan in his alchemy cauldron? The more Ning Yu thought about it, the more solemn his expression became. "I'll go get the golden box." While Ning Yu was pondering, Ning Lu's eyes turned cold and he immediately dashed toward the golden box. Ning Yu's expression changed when he saw Ning Lu rushing out recklessly. He hurriedly shouted, "Come back! Rumble!" However, Ning Yu's shout was obviously slower by half a beat. An illusory palm print suddenly shot out from the golden box and slapped toward Ning Lu. Break! Ning Lu seemed to have guessed that this would happen. The essence chi in his body surged, and a dark golden branch containing terrifying essence chi suddenly shot out from the top of his head. Without a doubt, the dark golden branch was Ning Lu's natal branch. As the tree of the world, Ning Lu had long refined all the dark golden branches into one. Crack! When the dark golden branches came into contact with the illusory palm print was shattered on the spot. A soft sound of surprise was heard the moment the illusory palm was shattered. It was obvious that the martial artist who had made the sound was full of disbelief. No matter who you are, the fact that you can barge into this place means that you have some ability. An ethereal voice rang in the ears of Ning Yu and the others. Ever since I descended into the immortal spirit realm, a total of several dozen people have been sucked into the five-finger pill cauldron. Of those people, more than half have made it here. All those who manage to barge their way here, I'll give them a huge gift. I'll use them as fertilizer to nourish my five-finger immortal pills. As the illusory voice was heard, an invisible pressure suddenly descended upon the place. Under this invisible pressure, Ning Yu, the Red Devil, and the others couldn't bear it any longer. They couldn't help but want to kneel down. The pressure of an earth immortal. The terrifying pressure had surpassed the limit of a human immortal and was heading straight for an earth immortal. If the pressure was only at the level of a human immortal, Ning Yu, Hong Fiend, and the others would be able to withstand it if they joined forces. But now, the power was heading straight for the earth immortals. How could they stop it? Ha ha ha, stop your pointless struggle. With your nourishment, I will be able to successfully refine the five-finger immortal pill in a few hours. A burst of wild laughter echoed in the ears of Ning Yu and the others. Following this, a terrifying suction force was emitted from the golden box, which instantly wrapped around Ning Yu and the others and dragged them into the golden box. Puff! As soon as they entered the golden box, Ning Yu felt a little breathless due to the terrifying pressure. He even spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Is this the five-finger immortal pill? Suppressing the pressure coming from all over his body, Ning Yu stared fixedly at the illusory figure in front of him and the fist-sized pill beside the illusory figure. The pill was silvery white in color and emitted a faint red glow. It was indeed Ning Yu's first time seeing a silvery white pill emitting a red glow. That's right. This is the five-finger immortal pill. The illusionary figure nodded and said, "You should be proud to be the fertilizer for the five-finger immortal pill." "You are the five-finger immortal?" Ningyu asked as his gaze landed on the illusionary figure. "Yes and no." The illusionary figure nodded at first, then shook his head and said, "The three of you better stand beside the five-finger immortal pill and let it devour you. That way you will feel less pain." Wait a minute. How shrewd was Ningyu! When they were outside, the illusionary figure's palm print was broken by Ning Lu with a single move. The reason they had entered the golden box was because the golden box had emitted a terrifying suction force. Furthermore, they were already in a life-or-death situation with the illusionary figure. Why would the illusionary figure let them go? However, the illusionary figure did not attack first. This was a little thought-provoking. Did the illusionary figure not want them to suffer? That was obviously nonsense. Therefore, there was only one possibility. The illusionary figure was not at its peak. In other words, the illusionary figure was only a clone that the five-finger immortal had left in the five-finger immortal pill cauldron. Perhaps this doppelganger was very powerful in the beginning, but as time passed, coupled with the eerie white bones on the outside, it directly caused the illusory figure's strength to drop by a huge level. Everyone attacked together. Ning Yu's eyes glinted coldly as he channeled the primordial qi in his body into the red demon sword. He held the red demon sword in his hand and slashed out with it. Die! When he saw Ning Yu attack, Ning Lu also took out the natal branch in his body and charged forward. As for the red demon, it turned into a red flying sword and slashed at the illusionary figure. The illusionary figure looked flustered when he saw Ning Yu and the others suddenly attack. However, his expression disappeared in a flash, so no one saw it. "Since you are courting death, I shall grant your wish." The illusionary figure waved its hands repeatedly and produced several palm imprints in an instant. These palm imprints were even more terrifying than the previous ones. Some of them were even close to materializing. Crack, crack, crack. However, Ning Yu and the others were not weak either. Ning Yu wielded the red demon's sword and slashed apart the palm imprints on the spot. Ning Lu also activated the natal branch and went on a killing spree. The red demon's battle record was slightly weaker. He did not seem to be focused on destroying the palm imprint. Instead, he slowly made his way to the side of the five-finger immortal pill. Oh no! The illusionary figure was very perceptive. He noticed that something was wrong when the red demon approached the five-finger immortal pill. "If you dare touch my five-finger immortal pill, I will kill you," the illusionary figure roared. "You want to kill me? In your next life." Under the threat of the illusionary figure, the red demon slashed at the tray below the five-finger immortal pill and sent it flying. Swoosh! The five-finger immortal pill flew in the direction of Ning Yu. Ning Yu was busy blocking the palm imprints. When he felt a cold gleam flying toward him, he immediately turned around. However, when Ning Yu turned around, his mouth opened involuntarily. Chapter 1922. The five-finger immortal pill ingestion plan did not give Ning Yu any time to think before it entered his body. Moreover, the horrifying medicinal power of the five-finger divine pill instantly engulfed Ning Yu's body. Crack, crack, crack. Clear and melodious sounds came from Ning Yu's body. These voices caused Ning Yu's pupils to constrict, and he was unable to maintain his composure. His body had been tempered several times before. Qilin blood and true dragon blood tempered his body. Every time he tempered his body, a large amount of impurities would be expelled from his body. Moreover, every time he tempered his body, his physical strength would increase exponentially. Initially, he thought that he wouldn't have another chance to temper his body after being tempered by the Kirin's blood and the true dragon's blood. However, he accidentally swallowed the five-finger immortal pill, which gave him another chance to temper his body. 5-finger divine pill to temper his body. No, I can't temper my body now. Although Ning Yu wanted to temper his body immediately, he knew better than anyone that he must not temper his body before dealing with the illusory figure, because the illusory figure would definitely not sit back and do nothing. Ning Yu was right. The illusory figure was on the verge of going berserk. He had guarded the 5-finger divine pill for such a long time. Just as he was about to get it, he did not expect it to be swallowed by a martial artist at the peak of the sage realm. How could he not be angry? Now, the illusory figure only had one thought in his mind, which was to kill Ning Yu and refine the 5-finger divine pill as soon as possible before its medicinal power completely dissipated. Protect Ning Yu. However, the illusory figure wanted to kill Ning Yu. How could Ning Lu and the Red Devil let him do as he pleased for no reason? Then, Ning Lu and the Red Devil rushed out and stood beside Ning Yu, one on the left and one on the right. I will kill anyone who dares to stop me. The illusory figure was extremely furious. He raised his head and shouted, charging straight at Ning Yu. Although he would definitely be attacked by Ning Lu and the Red Fiend if he charged blindly like this, the illusory figure couldn't care less. This was because with every passing second, the medicinal effects of the 5-finger immortal pill would weaken a little. Once the power of the 5-finger immortal pill completely disappeared, his years of planning would be in vain. Kill! Kill! Ning Lu and the Red Fiend went all out. Everyone used their full strength. Among them, Ning Lu had used his natal branch. The Red Fiend had somehow taken the Red Fiend sword from Ning Yu's hand and fused it with the Red Fiend sword, launching a surekill attack. Puff! Puff! In the face of the two terrifying attacks, the illusory figure seemed to have not seen them at all and continued to rush towards Ning Yu without a care. However, as it was charging forward, the illusory figure was struck by two terrifying attacks and immediately spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Fresh blood spurted out, and the illusory figure's aura dropped by another level. If the aura that the illusionary figure emitted previously was that of an early Earth immortal, it had now fallen to the peak of a human immortal. Moreover, as Ning Lu and the Red Fiend continued to attack, the illusory figure's aura continued to drop. Go to hell! Although the aura had dropped to the human immortal realm, the illusory figure forcefully broke through the defense of Ning Lu and the Red Fiend and descended in front of Ning Yu. A cold voice came out of the illusory figure's mouth. Then, the illusory figure suddenly turned into a small 5-finger immortal cauldron and slammed towards Ning Yu. Puff! Under the impact of the small 5-finger immortal cauldron, Ning Yu spat out a mouthful of blood and his body was on the verge of collapsing. If this was before the tempering of the 5-finger immortal pill, Ning Yu would definitely not be able to withstand this impact. But now, his physical strength had once again improved qualitatively. With just his physical strength, he could even easily kill a martial artist in the intermediate human immortal realm. With his various trump cards, he was confident that he could kill a martial artist in the peak of human immortal realm. Of course, this was all based on the current situation. Ning Yu had only refined 1/10 of the power of the 5-finger immortal pill. Once Ning Yu completely refined all 5 of the 5-finger immortal pills, to what extent would his overall strength reach? But now, Ning Yu was faced with 2 choices. First, stop tempering his body with the 5-finger immortal pill and increase his cultivation. In that case, he could easily increase his cultivation to the human immortal realm or even the peak of human immortal realm with the help of the 5-finger immortal pill. After all, the 5-finger immortal pill was a peak monarch-level elixir that was infinitely close to the sage level. Every time such an elixir appeared, it would cause heaven immortals to kill each other. Second, continue tempering his body with the 5-finger immortal pill. In that case, the strength of his body could be increased to an extremely terrifying level. By then, he could even compete with an early Earth immortal realm martial artist with his physical strength alone. Either of the two choices could increase Ning Yu's overall strength by several times or even dozens of times. Tempering my body. Ning Yu gritted his teeth and decided to continue tempering his body on the spot. Now that the plane barrier had loosened and the immortal spirit state had undergone a huge change, it was no longer the peak of the sage realm. It was foreseeable that after a period of time, the native martial artists of the immortal spirit state would experience a huge increase in their cultivation. Peak sage experts like Wu Patian and the divine war crane could easily break through to the sage perfected stage or the human immortal realm. After all, they had been stuck at the peak of the sage realm for too long, and the energy in their bodies had reached a terrifying level. It could be said that every peak sage expert of the immortal spirit state could instantly kill a peak sage expert from a higher plane. They just lacked a cultivation environment. I'm so angry. The illusory figure was furious when he saw that he had failed to knock Ning Yu away. But as the clone of the five-finger immortal, the illusory figure knew that he had missed the best opportunity. Following that, with every passing minute, his strength would decrease a little, while the hardness of Ning Yu's body would increase a little. Under such circumstances, he would never be a match for Ning Yu. With Ning Yu in front of him and Ning Lu and the Red Devil behind him, he had no way out. The illusory figure took a deep breath and said viciously, "Since you have swallowed my five-finger immortal pill, I will kill all your friends and let you live in endless pain forever." This was the five-finger immortal pill cauldron, and the illusory figure was the clone of the five-finger immortal pill. He could control the five-finger immortal pill cauldron perfectly. If he wanted to kill the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei, it would be very easy. "How dare you!" Ning Yu opened his eyes and forcefully stopped the tempering of the five-finger immortal pill. The five-finger immortal pill was a little special. Once he stopped, Ning Yu could only choose the second option, which was to use it to increase his cultivation. Originally, Ning Yu could complete the tempering and strengthen his body by several times. He could use his body to fight against a primary stage Earth immortal martial artist. Now that he stopped the tempering, Ning Yu could only use his physical strength to fight against a peak stage human immortal martial artist. If he wanted to fight or kill a primary stage Earth immortal martial artist, Ning Yu only had one choice. That was to completely refine the five-finger immortal pill within 3 minutes and break through to the human immortal realm. Chapter 1923. The illusionary figure's aura continued to drop. Now, it was only at the peak of the human immortal realm. Although Ning Yu had only consumed a portion of the five-finger immortal pill, his physical body was already strong enough to fight against a peak human immortal realm martial artist. Clenching his right hand into a fist, Ning Yu took a step forward and punched at the illusionary figure. "You're courting death." The illusionary figure was enraged. His eyes emitted a cold gleam as he charged at Ning Yu. Almost instantly, Ning Yu and the illusionary figure began to fight. Crack! The power of a peak human immortal realm martial artist was extremely strong. With a crisp sound, the golden box that Ning Yu and the others were in suddenly cracked open. Then, it completely shattered. "Let's go." As soon as the golden box shattered, Ning Lu and the Red Devil joined the battle. Although the illusionary figure would definitely lose if the battle continued like this. However, they were inside the five-finger cauldron, and the illusionary figure was a clone of the five-finger immortal. Who knew if the five-finger immortal had a backup plan? What if the five-finger immortal's backup plan appeared just as Ning Yu was about to win? Wouldn't Ning Yu be doomed? The current situation was very clear. As long as the two of them joined forces, together with Ning Yu's incredible physical strength, they would be able to kill the illusionary figure in less than 3 minutes. Under such circumstances, they naturally would not sit idly by. Rumble! As soon as Ning Lu and the Red Devil made their moves, the situation became one-sided. Although Ning Yu had the upper hand, the illusionary figure could still struggle. But now, the illusionary figure could only struggle like a trapped beast. It was difficult for it to even struggle. Puff. The battle lasted for another 2 minutes. Finally, the illusionary figure spat out a mouthful of blood and turned into nothingness. Puff. What Ning Yu and the others didn't know was that after they joined forces to kill the illusory figure, in a forest in the Myriad Demon's Ridge, an old man suddenly spat out a mouthful of dark red blood, and his body directly fell from the sky to the ground. Ka ka ka! The old man leaped up from the ground and clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with malice. If Ning Yu and the others were here, they would definitely notice that the old man's physique was similar to that of the illusory figure. Five-fingered immortal. That's right, the old man was none other than the owner of the five-fingered cauldron, the five-fingered celestial. How dare you touch my five-finger immortal pill? No matter who you are, no matter where you go, I will find you and grind your bones into dust. The five-fingered immortal clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. Even his face had become somewhat distorted. In order to refine the five-finger immortal pill, he didn't hesitate to descend from a higher plane to the immortal spirit realm and spent a large amount of medicinal ingredient. Just as he was about to successfully concoct the pill, someone suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Not only did that person kill the clone he had left in the Five Fingers cauldron, he even swallowed the Five Fingers immortal pill. How could he not be angry? Forget it, I'll put this matter aside for now. I'll settle the score with you after I've obtained the power of origin. The five-fingered immortal took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. The plane barrier had loosened, and his suppressed cultivation had also gained some leverage. Even though he couldn't display the strength of a sky immortal, he could use some trump cards to display the strength of a peak earth immortal. Actually, he had two plans for descending to the immortal spirit realm. The first plan wasn't to refine the five-finger immortal pill, but to obtain the power of origin. After all, the five-finger immortal pill was only a peak royal grade pill. There was still a gap between it and a true sage grade pill. The power of origin was different. The effect of the power of origin was comparable to that of a sage grade pill. As long as he could obtain a large amount of power of origin, when he returned to a higher plane, he could even advance to the mid-sky immortal stage. Once one's cultivation reached the sky immortal stage, every small step forward was 100 times more difficult than ascending to the heavens. An early sky immortal stage martial artist could rule over a territory, while a mid-sky immortal stage martial artist could rule over several territories. The more territories they ruled, the more resources they would have, and the faster their cultivation would be. Therefore, who wouldn't want to rule over more territories? Whoosh! Ning Yu didn't know about the five-finger immortal's plan. After killing the illusory figure, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to refine the remaining power of the five-finger immortal pill in his body. Ning Yu's cultivation was currently at the peak sage grade. With just his physical strength, he could fight against a peak human immortal stage martial artist. But that wasn't enough. Ning Yu's plan was to refine the five-finger immortal pill as soon as possible, then see if he could control the five-finger immortal pill furnace. After all, if he wanted to leave the five-finger immortal pill, he had to control it. Otherwise, he could only look for the five-finger immortal and beg him for help. Of course, Ning Yu knew better than anyone that he could look for help from anyone but the five-finger immortal. He had killed the five-finger immortal's clone and obtained the five-finger immortal pill. It would be strange if the five-finger immortal was willing to help him. Buzz! Luckily, Ning Yu had used the five-finger immortal pill to refine his body first. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand the terrifying power of the five-finger immortal pill. The energy in his body rumbled, and Ning Yu's aura skyrocketed at a terrifying speed. Bang! Not long after, there was a muffled sound. Ningyu opened his eyes, and the aura in his body disappeared in a flash. Complete Sage Grade. Although Ningyu withdrew his aura quickly, the sudden release of his aura did not escape the senses of Ning Lu and the Hong Mo. Sensing the terrifying aura emitted from Ningyu's body, Ning Lu and the Hong Mo looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Was the five-finger immortal pill really that terrifying? How long had it been? Only a dozen or so seconds had passed since he killed the illusory figure. In just a dozen seconds, Ningyu had advanced from the peak Sage Grade to the complete Sage Grade. It was a miracle. Bang! What surprised the Hong Mo and Ning Lu was yet to come. Another dozen seconds later, there was another muffled sound. Early Stage Human Immortal Grade. Ningyu's cultivation had advanced from the complete Sage Grade to the real Early Stage Human Immortal Grade. Rumble. When Ningyu advanced to the Early Stage Human Immortal Grade, the void above the five-finger immortal pill cauldron suddenly trembled. Following this, several thunderbolts appeared, trying to strike Ningyu. However, this was the immortal spirit region. If the thunderbolts wanted to strike Ningyu, they would first have to break through the defense of the plane barrier. Moreover, after breaking through the defense of the plane barrier, they would have to break through the defense of the five-finger immortal pill cauldron. The thunderbolts in the void seemed to be very intelligent. They only appeared for a while before they suddenly disappeared. A powerful being could discover them. The thunderbolts did not retreat, but hibernated in the void. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.